Hi, everybody. I am Karlo.
Emily.
Steve.
And we don't have a podcast name yet, but we're here to talk to you about Anime Expo 2024. We just went last week. Was it last week?
It was last week.
It feels like forever ago. It sucked out all my energy.
Or
no,
2
weeks
ago. 2 weeks ago? There's no
ago.
sense of time anymore.
2 weeks ago. So we're going to talk to you about this year's AX, some of the panels, events we went to, who we saw, what vendors we went to, any cool booths, some of our con tips, and then are we going to go next year? Is this something that we want to continue doing?
Spoiler alert, we're never going to a con again.
Never. I'm done. I'm done with
that was it.
That's what my wallet's saying.
We peaked, and so did our balances.
Yes. Fraud alerts. So why don't we start a little bit with our con history. So, Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about your anime
breaking
background.
and entering. Oh, wrong one.
Anime background, what cons have you gone to, and what do you typically look for or do at a con?
Okay, so what I'm into, I guess, with anime, I started early 2010s. Actually, no, early 2000s, probably late 90s, middle school era, Dragon Ball, what we all grew up on in the U.S., Toonami, which then spread into Adult Swim, which then spread into pirating anime on IRC channels because we didn't have legal ways to watch things timely, and up to today. Started on shonen, a lot of shonen seinen series, more into romance now. I've started trying to get artsy with my tastes and explore, what are the things that are cult classics in the fandom, what's a little weird now that I've started getting used to some of the tropes, who is actually being creative in storytelling.
Nice. And the cons that you've gone to?
Oh, yeah. Aside from a couple small ones, like when I was in high school, went to a con in Syracuse and Rochester. I was just recently at Garden State Comic Fest to help a friend shoot some video. But by and large, it's New York City Comic Con and Anime NYC, which I started going to when it started 8 years ago, I think, at this point. So I've been to most of those.
And typically, what do you look for or do at cons?
Very much in the anime scene. So New York Comic Con I do enjoy, but I'm more into the anime content. So I was happy that we actually started getting a New York Con that was focused on anime itself. So for me, it's panels with guest speakers, especially folks in production, directors, art coordinators, the VAs for Japanese. I tend to watch more sub than dub. And special announcements, but also really cool cosplay is always fun. And yeah, things like that. The guests are the biggest one. If a fun guest is around, that's usually what draws me.
Awesome. So you're like, of us three, you're the closest we got to like a true otaku.
I'm going to say yes, and before anybody in the comments says that, I know there's people who are more into things than I am even.
You're the closest of us three.
Yeah, I'll say for whatever it's worth, which isn't a lot, my mail count, my anime list count for anime and manga is closing on 1,000 series. I also know that that didn't exist when I was in middle school, so I've definitely forgotten some shows that I watched then, but also they're probably trash. So.
All right. What's your mail count?
Oh, I don't know.
Is this the body count
of anime? Is this the segue?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm a pandemic anime newcomer. So the 2020 when the world shut down, that's when I started getting into anime.
It doesn't matter how many have you watched.
Wait, only the pandemic? I feel like we've been talking about it for like 8 years.
Yeah.
There was.
I think I consumed enough content in that pandemic.
You've consumed more in that period than I might have.
I mean, I don't know what my mal list is offhand, but I know my
over in the hundreds.
Yeah, in the hundreds. I know my manga count is over 500 of volumes.
And I don't have a mal account. So Emily, tell us about your anime background. You talked a little bit about it. What are your tastes? And then we'll have some questions.
So I'm the shoujosei representation here for all those fans, and so love romance, slice of life. It's very underrepresented in the merchandising perspective, so that's why kind of jumping to the con stuff. I always am excited to go to Artist Alley and see what people have. If anything has a Fruits Basket print, I'm gonna buy it. So that's what I'm always looking out for. In terms of cons, I've been going to New York Comic Con, I think was my first one, and that was 10 years ago at this point. And then it's kind of transformed and morphed into Anime NYC, San Diego Comic-Con, Anime Expo for the first time this year. And then, I think one of the only non-comic ones was Walker Stalker in New Jersey like 6 or 7 years ago. That was an interesting one. It was a Walking Dead convention.
Okay, I was going to say, because that name is terrifying.
And why did you go to it?
I only went there to go see Norman Reedus, and he canceled a week before.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
He's probably doing something with Kojima.
Yeah,
honestly.
got to see Michael Rooker, so that was fun.
Type con.
Yeah.
But, and then,
then what do you look for? What do you do at cons?
Yeah, so talking about Artist Alley, and then I'm always excited to see the English voice actors. So I have like a little autograph book where I like to collect their signatures and then stickers and kind of make a little collage.
It's not that little either.
And not anymore.
A good collection.
Yeah, I've definitely accumulated over the years. And talked about Artist Alley, and then just like meeting and seeing really nice and cool people with like-kinded interests.
And you also cosplay.
And I also cosplay, yeah. So cosplay. Like starting to now, I always did like the I'll say con-bound type stuff where it wasn't really that extreme, but I would say within the past 5 years, I've actually then started like fabrication, sewing, all that good stuff.
You're pretty much my consult when I'm like, I want to try something and I don't have your skills. How do I do this?
Yeah. TikTok and YouTube is amazing to learn stuff.
Yeah. I do want to add one thing, though. I know you mentioned there's not a lot of merch in the shoujo and josei, but that's because you're looking for merch featuring the heterosexual characters. If you just get into the BL, that's most of the merch.
This is true.
Don't encourage her.
That's what I'm here for. That's why you're sitting between us, to prevent these ideas.
And I'm Karlo. I'm the casual. I'm like Steve. I started anime like back when I was a preteen with like Yu-Gi-Oh! Joey on Yu-Gi-Oh! My favorite voice ever.
The English voice.
Yeah, the English voice.
He's not nearly as goofy in the Japanese, unfortunately.
It makes no sense. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh's from Egypt, or his grandfather's from Egypt.
But, I mean, they're Japanese.
And has no Egyptian accent. But Joey is from Japan and has a thick New York accent.
Yep.
I love that. But I'm casual.
90s dubs were the best.
Yes. Started with that, Dragon Ball, Trigun, everything that was on Adult Swim. And from there, just casually watch. So I've gone.
You had a social life and I didn't. That's the difference.
Yeah. Maybe. Don't discount yourself.
I'm joking a little bit, but it's the obvious play.
So I've gone to the same cons that these two have gone to. We're all New York based. So Anime NYC and NYCC. First one I went to was about 12 years ago, which was NYCC, and I've been going to cons ever since. And for me, what I do at cons, I really like fashion. I'm super into like clothing and what people can do with anime and manga as a property. So I tend to look for like cool clothes, cool pins, cool hats, accessories that I can incorporate into my everyday life. And then I'm also like a very casual cosplayer, so I'm the guy who buys costumes on AliExpress and Amazon and just wears them out to the cons.
Just try not to stand next to Emily for the comparison.
Yes. I also try not to wear wigs because I sweat so much. Like I'm already sweating under these lights. And the last thing I need to do is just be a sweaty mess at these cons.
Which is why neither of us had wigs at Anime Expo.
Yes. Yeah.
For that reason, trying to run around do press stuff with wigs. You managed to pull it off, but I was terrified of the idea.
Yeah, summer cons are a different animal.
Me and Steve are sweaty and lazy.
Yeah. And Anime NYC has moved to the summer, which makes it terrible for all the people with cosplay.
Yes, it used to be in November, and it has moved to August. So
all the biggest ones are in the summer now.
This is going to be the smelliest con yet. I'm so excited for it. All right, so speaking of smelly cons, this year's Anime Expo.
I thought you were going to talk about Friends Con.
Friends Con?
Smelly Cat, right?
Oh.
Yeah, that reference was a little dated. Anyway, moving back to anime.
So, Emily, give us a brief history of AX. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so AX has been around since 1992, and it started off in San Jose, California, and then it actually moved down to Southern California in 1994. It's organized by the Society for the Promotion of Japanese Animation, or the SPJA. So they have a really cool range of events from anime, but also like music, dance, and like Japanese culture. So like they have a myriad different things you can go to and a whole wide range of Japanese culture you can encounter.
And that's unusual, right? To have a con not run by just a media company?
Yeah, not run by like, just some company that has, the minions.
Yeah.
That.
Is this like a U.S.-based association, or is it a Japan-based association that's pushing this?
My understanding is they're U.S. based.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I think they're
I'm not
trying to
positive on that,
bring
but-
Japanese culture.
So it's more than just.
Yeah.
Well, this
Yeah,
one's
I think they're
animation-focused.
based in the West Coast, which is why I don't know if they do other cons. If they do, they're definitely smaller, but it's in that area.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so it started off in 92 with like, I think 2,000 people about. And then now it's grown to over 350,000 in the span of what's that, 22 years?
Which is the.
And now, Anime Expo is the largest anime
32 years.
32 years.
34
Jeez.
years. Yeah.
Jeez.
Almost.
Wow. So yeah, it's grown to the largest
32.
convention in a anime convention in the U.S., which is
And-
pretty extraordinary.
And who is this con for?
I think it's for first and foremost anime fans, right? You're gonna get your
If
take.
you don't know what anime is, you're
Yeah,
going to
if you
be
don't know what anime
confused.
is, right? Like this is literally where for you to. This is the mecca. You're gonna find your people. You're gonna find your art. You're gonna find your guests. You're gonna find your booths. So like all things anime, if you gravitate towards that at any of the conventions, this is like that on like 20 steroids. And then also I think it's just fun for people to like just dabble, right? And it's like I wanna maybe, like I said, like Japanese culture, or like you get a lot of like Japanese guests or Japanese vendors that are outside of like the normal realm of what you'll see at like, you know, a Western
So you
convention.
don't have to be like hardcore.
You don't have to, yeah, you
go
can
to this.
be, you can be casual. I
Yeah,
mean,
you-
as
you-
a casual, how did you
You could
feel?
watch Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen and be fine.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
if you want to pay a lot of money to eat Japanese food, I guess you could technically just go and eat at the vendors.
$20 takoyaki.
Yeah, exactly.
I say I'm casual, but like I'm casual.
You're not
compared
that
to-
casual.
Compared to you two, I'm
Yeah.
casual.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of drama last year at AX.
Yeah, so obviously we didn't go, but from the TikToks, YouTubes, everything, it was a kind of a craziness with getting in last year. My understanding is there was only one entrance, and again, for 350,000 people, that's like crazy bottleneck. So this year they actually then had 5 separate entrances, kind of dispersed throughout the convention center, which was nice, so you weren't all funneling into that one iconic lobby with the stairwell. And
So it's pretty smooth.
and I think the security also helped. Like, so last year there was just metal detectors. You know, if you dinged, you had to get your bag checked. That takes time, that takes effort. And now they have the upgraded security systems where it's kind of like you walk through and I guess it just faces anomalies and then you get pulled to the
kind
side.
of like the airport.
Yeah,
where
only if it
it'll say like
dings.
there's a weird square in their bag, and they'll be like, open it up and show me this section of your backpack.
So
Yeah.
I was expecting the worst and was extremely pleasantly surprised at the level of
Yeah.
organization. They have
I don't
one.
think there was any line at any of the entrances.
I'll
whenever we went.
just add on to that because some people did post on TikTok. They'd be like, oh, look at opening, it's so packed. But it's because nothing was opened yet.
Yeah.
There were a couple days where we went in like 10, 15 minutes after the doors had opened. And at that point, it was pretty clear.
Yeah,
And they restructured the layout of the halls too. So the rows were wider, more things had moved. So
Yeah.
Artist Alley was maybe a little crowded at times.
I'm gonna give you
but-
some work on this, but you know, maybe in this like put that opening like when we
Well,
came in.
I have the shot. I've got that, and then I figured I could also show that sky shot of the down into the rows to show how expanded it was. Because even Friday and Saturday, the main hall, the exhibit hall,
Yeah.
because it's exhibit and entertainment
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
The exhibit hall was not super crowded to move through
Yeah.
compared to NYCC and Anime
Anime
NYC, which both have less people in them but feel more crowded.
So, Steve, what are your best and worst things about this con?
Well, so there's the best of, you know, some opportunities we got through with the press, which I'll list after. Dandadan and a couple of other series I was really excited for were going to be represented there. So compared to when I go to like New York Comic Con, which I enjoy, but I'm mostly looking for anime and manga content. Being at the biggest North America con with so many people and so many panels and guests, it was most of the time I was choosing between things to go to or running between events because there were so many different things I was interested in, which is a good problem to have. I ended up not really visiting a lot of the vendors just because I was constantly running around between actual activities and events to go to.
And then worst thing about the con?
The worst thing about the con is definitely the fact that they didn't clear the rooms, which I guess last year they did clear the rooms. It sounds like they change every few years based off of feedback. The downside with not clearing the rooms, which I have an actual example for, is I tried to go to the panel for Look Back, which was tied for the #1 thing I was interested in.
What is Look Back?
Look Back is a movie of an anime by Tatsuki Fujimoto. It was a one-shot he published.
It's Fujimoto.
The creator of Chainsaw Man, Fire Punch, Look Back, Goodbye Eri,
Okay.
Just Listen to the Song, which is an incredible one-shot. Everything this man writes is incredible. Look Back was his first big one-shot. He spent a whole year putting it out. It's a full volume. and he got incredible acclaim for it. The movie is being drawn by, I'm going to blank on his name, I'll have to check it later, but the director of it is the man behind Flip Flappers, if you've heard of that. One of my favorite anime from the last 10 years, just pure creativity in a nutshell.
So this is like a big movie.
This is a big deal. It's the work of Fujimoto, which is huge. The guy working on it is amazing. All the trailers look great. I know some Anitubers have gotten to see it in Japan and have talked about how good it is. But because it was the 6th panel of the day in a very small room, it wasn't put in a big enough space, people went into the very first panel and just squatted to stay for look back. So there were 5 panels there where the people sitting there may not have been interested in the content. It was so bad
Definitely not interested.
Yeah. Literally, I heard that the people in the panel beforehand said, hey, you know, we're happy this is full. We know none of you are here for this, which is a nice thing to say, but I'm sure they would have preferred people who cared.
That blows.
Yeah, and then nobody could get into the look back panel. Literally 0 seats were offered up. There were people sitting in ADA the entire time. None of them got in. The lines for those small rooms were outside, so people were lined up outside and never got to go in. I was there as press with a couple other press people, and there were staff from the studio in Japan who worked on the movie who could not sit in the seats because there were no seats available. They had to go and sit in the green room. So
there were
that was a problem.
There were people waiting outside in the LA heat.
They had tarps up theoretically that you could be under, but I do know they found out there was one ADA person who had been waiting outside, and they were like, that's unacceptable, we got to get them out of there. But also, literally everybody had been sitting there for maybe a panel or two beforehand and just turned away.
And the panels are like an hour each.
Yeah, so it should have been in a bigger room, but you know, that means that people who were seeing those panels, basically all they did was see panels and the other panels ahead of time that people might have been interested in.
Panels that they didn't care about.
Yeah, people couldn't go to those. So you have less people going to panels because they don't clear rooms. Obviously, there's an advantage to not clearing a room as press. I got to sit through like 4 in a row, but it means less people get to go to things. So hopefully they change that back. You're never going to make everybody happy, but more people should have opportunities to go to panels. If you want to go to the look back one, you know, line up earlier and wait. Don't.
It also seems like
take opportunities.
It seems silly to do that because those are people, like from a con economy perspective, right? Those are people that could be walking around the con and buying things.
Correct. The only explanation I've heard is it's more work for them to have to constantly clear rooms, and you need more time in between to force everybody out of the room and then let more people in. You need more staff to monitor those lines because again they're outside.
Yeah.
But you know, spend the money. This is the biggest con in North America. More people should get to go to the panels that they want.
Yeah, like this isn't a con for the workers.
Yeah. Oh, there were 2 panels. There was another panel up there. I tried to do that for as well. Gachiakuta, which is a manga merging like desert steampunk with graffiti. Really cool art. And Joey the Anime Man was, I believe, hosting that panel. I couldn't get into that one either for the same reason.
All right. Emily, best and worst.
So best, I think it's the caliber of guests that they get and the variety of panels. So, like I said, you literally get anything ranging from sub, dub, VTuber, you know, video game,
Hololive,
everything
Idol,
in the MiHoYo universe,
everything in between, right? You kind of
Genshin
there's
Impact.
something, Honkai Star Rail, right?
Everything MiHoYo is there and massive.
Yeah, there's something for everybody, right? And so like you're always going to have something to do, which I guess is also probably the worst thing because then I suffer from massive FOMO because I initially went in with like a jam-packed schedule, not realizing the layout of the LA Convention Center, not really understanding the line situation. And so I felt kind of bummed when I wasn't able to get into certain things just because of the time constraint.
Yeah. It's better than the alternative of there not being enough, but
yeah, exactly.
I deleted more than 50% of the things in my original schedule because it wasn't possible.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The app was really nice that it had like everything in it. But
notifications were good.
Trying to look at San Diego Comic-Con right now. The app for Anime Expo is incredible.
Yeah, it's great, and they keep it up to date. But yeah, it is a problem. Like it has a master schedule and can move things into your own schedule. Probably 90% of the things that were on my schedule, I did not.
Notification goes off. It's like there's 3 panels you should go to right now.
I mean, this was by far the biggest convention that I've gone to where I actually wasn't interested in going to panels. So like SDCC last year, I didn't really go to panels. I was more just overwhelmed there for the vibes. But this was the first one that I went to actually interested in going to the panels, and with the only other convention anime related that I've gone to is Anime NYC, which I think only has like 60 or 65,000 people going to something like, you know,
it feels a lot more packed.
Yeah, over 350. I was not prepared for the lines, not being able to get into things, and not just walking in.
I think there's over 1,000 panels or something like that. Or no, it's over 1,000 hours of content because I remember writing the art. Like you can't go to, It's a nice problem to have. There's so much cool stuff, but you're going to have things you're upset you missed.
That being said, I do wish that they had like sometimes like Comic-Con New York and SDCC does this where it's like the bigger ones, like they have either a live stream or taped content.
Oh, that's a good point. They didn't stream. I don't think they streamed anything.
I think they have like the AX Chibi, which is like their online one, but I think it's like a cheaper press. You can like. And it's like you just sign online and have a portal, but it would be fun to have like, you know, some sort of live stream or something that you could watch at the end of the day.
Part of the reason they don't is a lot of the bigger panels included world premieres or were just screenings, so like there'd be nothing to stream. Yeah. The panels, at least they could show people before and then cut away for the world premieres, but there's a lot of that at AX.
It reminded me of, I had forgotten which con it was, but it wasn't a con. It was Sundance Film Festival. What they did was for their screenings, they actually had like a traffic light system where depending on how many people
No, that was South by.
Was it South? Well, they did it at Sundance too.
Oh, okay.
But depending on how many people were in the room, it was like red, yellow, green on if you could get in. And they were like...
So you at least had an idea.
Yeah, they were like, red was like less than 10% is available. So
that was the issue I had with the Frieren panel where the line was so long. I'll talk about it more, but one of the panels I got in as press. But only after it had opened, and I was in line with probably 300 or 400 people trying to get into this, and eventually the staff were kind of yelling at the person running the door, saying, you have to let us know earlier that it's full because we're making people line up, and if we know for a fact we could turn them away, you know, we're creating a fire hazard because now they're all trying to get away now.
It is a safety issue.
Yeah. You know, they all told, they do a very good job with what it is. Definitely, I think the best run con I've been to.
I think they do an incredible job. The fact that you said it was only 65,000 people compared to at New York at Anime NYC versus 350,000 at this, like New York is so crowded. Yeah. I think just the size of this, it felt like 3 different Anime NYCs were happening at the same time, but at no point did I feel like crunched in. At no point did I feel anxiety about agoraphobia or anything like that. It was just everything was very smooth. I don't know if we just picked the right things to go to, but I
did hear from other people it was a lot better than the prior year. And to your comment of issues from the prior year, you and I were talking with someone who said that was their first like really big one post pandemic, because I guess they were more careful if they did one in 22. So it was just overwhelmed. Everybody was like, this is the big one, I gotta go again. So but what was your high and low?
My high, I was actually, and we talked about this at the con, I was surprised how friendly everybody was there. Not just the con goers, but the staff.
Yes.
Like the security and the staff running the show, they were just really friendly. They were there to like quell your anxiety about anything you might be experiencing, and they had information. They weren't just like
they knew the answers to the question.
And they'd apologize if they didn't know or if they gave you bad information.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just New York being New York.
It's a little bit of New York being New York and California being California.
Yeah, which is like a bigger conversation.
Yes, but the friendliest.
We're not about to do an East versus West Coast.
No. But as a positive, the panel, all of the staff there, even the security people. So incredibly friendly and helpful to every single one.
Yeah, and then my worst thing about the con was
the people.
The smells.
Oh, okay.
The smells. Anytime you walked into like a group of more than 10 people, this happened a lot at Artist Alley because it was a little smaller there. But if there were like more than 10 people in a row, it smelled like meat burps. It smelled like somebody just had a hot dog or a bologna sandwich, and they just had the worst indigestion, and it all just came out, and it was consistent. Anytime there was a group more than 10 people, I could smell it. It was really bad. But that being said, all of New York's cons, the big ones, it was NYCC is in October, and my NYC was in November.
Yeah, so people aren't as hot and sweaty as they are in the summer.
Yes, but now we have Anime NYC in August.
It'll be interesting to compare the two.
We'll see. I'll let you know in a month who's smellier.
That'll be the rating.
That'll be the next East versus West Coast.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk panels.
All right.
Let's do the big one first. Dandadan.
Yes.
Tell me about
you're using the proper name.
Daniel to Daniel. That's what I'm calling.
I shouldn't have even. So Dandadan is a manga by.
Dandadan
would be the Japanese
pronunciation.
Daniel. Dandadan is a manga written by Yuki Nobutatsu, who was an assistant for Tatsuki Fujimoto, the creator of Chainsaw Man, which I only mention because oftentimes in his own bios he will write that. or people will write it for him, because at this point having Fujimoto's name on anything just helps it sell.
It's a brand.
Yeah, but it started in 2021. It's actually up to 160 chapters. I was off in our prior video, and has been incredibly popular in Japan, but also in the West. It is a occult meets rom-com meets spiritual meets slice of life meets battle. It does everything well, and somehow every single chapter will somehow pivot between like 9 genres twice in 18 panels, and it won't feel rushed or crazy. You're just thinking, this man is incredible. Yeah. So it's been super popular. The guy's art is amazing, and the story's really attracted a popular fan base, because even getting used to how wild Tatsu-san's art is, every chapter still, you're like, wait, I didn't predict he was going to do this, and I thought I had a read on this guy.
Yeah.
So it's being animated by Science Saru, and we actually we had a really packed panel there. I got an opportunity to interview Fuge Yamashita, who's the director, along with Sakita-san, who is the Science Saru producer, and Hiroshi-san, who is the producer from MBS. There's a number of producers on any project.
We'll have links to that interview.
We have a transcript. Unfortunately, I couldn't record it on video, and I got to record the audio for the transcript, but not to use.
And then they chased him down the hallway.
Yeah,
and
but
said,
I got
delete it.
But that was the thing I was most excited for, was that this is getting adapted. It's been my favorite manga, if not from chapter 1, definitely at least the last 2 years. Every Monday, 11 a.m., wherever I am, I take a break or make up a fake meeting, and I read Dandadan.
Mental health is very important.
Exactly, which is also a message in the manga, actually. So anyway, got to interview them for about 15 minutes, which was really neat, probably the highlight of my experience. And then the panel we went to on Saturday also included Natsuki Hanai, who is the voice actor for Okarun.
The main boy.
The main boy. And then the main girl is named Momo. She's voiced by Shinohara Wakayama. And yeah, 5 people on the panel, plus Vic Michaelis hosting it, and a couple of translators. So probably one of the biggest panels I saw, just in terms of number of people. And they talked about the experience of working on it, which was very entertaining. They did a good job setting the mood, which I'll let you talk about. And then they also world premiered the very first episode.
Yes, and we did a 16-minute, 17-minute recap.
18, yeah.
However many minutes, almost as long as the episode recap afterwards. But to summarize, it was incredible. It was so good.
Yeah, this was the 3rd day of the panel, and there's not a lot on Sunday, so this was really the last panel that we went to.
Yeah.
I probably saw 10 or 12. I don't know how many you saw, but it was my favorite, easily.
I said it in our longer video, but for all the people who watched Chainsaw Man and were like, this is a little slow for me, this is the anime that you were expecting.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
this
so much
one's
fun.
on the gas from the beginning.
Yeah, full, like pedal to the floor.
Yes.
So much fun. And you had mentioned like the atmosphere, like most so they picked the biggest room in the JW.
Yeah.
The JW
Diamond or Platinum,
Diamond
whatever they were
Platinum
naming
room.
them.
It's like an off-site, and we could talk about that.
We'll talk about that after.
Yeah. There's like an off-site area for some of the bigger panels. But that room, they would just let people come in. For this one, there was so much demand that they brought in like groups of 100 people at a time and made sure every seat was filled.
Yep.
And they still had to turn away people at the door. Luckily enough,
Even as press, we were like
I did not get in.
No, so,
You got in.
so
I got in.
I got in because of the interview, and I got along well with the PR person, so they were like, you seem really interested, we might have a couple things. But they had just a couple press tickets, and you and I just managed to get in. And even rushing there super early and being there when it started, we were still, I don't know, like 8 or 9 rows back.
Yeah, it was cool that there was that much demand for it. The crowd was buzzing. It was full house. And the whole weekend, that room had like yellowish lights, like yellowish mood lights throughout the whole thing. But for this one, because it's all about occult and horror and aliens and action, they made all the lights red, and they had this like atmospheric music where it was just like,
little spooky, a little what's going on playing the whole time before the panel even started.
It set the mood.
Yeah.
Somebody clapped and was like, Alexa, set the mood.
Yes, exactly.
For fun.
And then they used it during the premiere as well. So partway as the action kind of picks up towards the second half, the lights came on, like they brightened up the red a little bit.
But like the first what, like 5-10 minutes of the show, it's pretty normal daytime.
It's moving quick, but it's set up. Yeah. Once it gets night and things start to reveal themselves,
lights went off once the nighttime came, and it just enhanced everything. It was like those televisions where it has the color in the back.
Yeah.
You know those, but much better.
Yes. The it was interesting because in my very short interview with them, I got to, my last question was, do you have any sense of how popular the show is in the West? Because a lot of, pretty much all Japanese properties, unfortunately, they just don't have a huge sense of how popular the series are outside of Japan. You constantly read posts or on Twitter or interviews where they're surprised at the reception. So I'd ask them, do you have any sense? And Yamashita Sensei just goes, no, not at all. I was like, all right, I think you're going to be surprised. And they kept saying during the panel how shocked they were, how packed it was, and that he was really nervous because this was the global premiere and because people were cheering every time he talked, and he did a 15-minute dialogue taking us through the paneling of one shot from the layouts to the rough draws to the final choices, and people were clapping and cheering constantly. There were like Dandadan chants going. At the end, he was like, I was really, really nervous, and based on how you're all responding, I think you'll like this episode.
the way that shonen animators or shonen people feel about not knowing the Western audience, that's probably how shoujo feels about any audience at all. They just never know how big their audience is.
Yeah. That's why we never get season 2s.
That's a whole separate conversation too.
So
so
who is this for, and why should people add it to their watch list?
So I would actually say that this is for just about anyone. The one note that we made in our longer video is there is one scene that's a little ecchi in this episode, and I don't think it ever happens again. Like, it's never to that degree. So like, trust me, just get past that part, because the two main things it is occult and rom-com, and every time they talk about it, they stress those two, and especially the rom-com, and sometimes they just say romance. As preparation for creating the manga, Tatsu-san's editor gave him 100 romance manga to read, and he read them all. So like, the romance is actually really good. There's this joke that the Western fan base has that we're in the Reiwa era. Every time the emperor passes and a new emperor comes in, they rename it. So the prior era was Showa. That was probably like 5-6 years ago at this point. We're in the Reiwa era. There's a joke among Western fans that there are now Reiwa romances. In the Showa era, you'd get like 400 chapters where they'd get locked in a broom closet, and then before something happens, somebody lets them out. One of them confesses at the fireworks, but oh no, it was too loud, and nothing happens and nothing progresses, and the romance is the same in chapter 390 as it was in chapter 1. Reiwa romances like Blue Box, like this, it's constantly progressing like a real romance. And I think romance fans of any kind will enjoy it. Yes, there's battle elements and there's occult, but it's really well balanced. And as someone who does enjoy romance, even if I don't watch as many as you, this is one of my favorite romances running currently, even though it's not just a romance series.
And 100 volumes, that's 3 shelves. 3 shelves of things.
Or it's chapters.
Sorry, 160 chapters.
160 chapters.
160 chapters.
Okay, that's much fewer.
And for those looking for progress in like the romance, for example, this is just generally true for Reiwa romances. Like, each arc, like things progress. And for people who read chapter 159 last week, so
that was probably,
get caught up.
That was the biggest one.
That was the biggest one.
So let's go through quickly.
Yes.
The rest that you went through.
Well, there were a couple that you and I had. There was the Bocchi the Rock panel. You've not seen that one.
Yeah.
Bocchi the Rock is incredibly antisocial. Oh yes, perfect. I didn't bring my sticker of Godzilla.
She's an antisocial girl who finds herself through rock music.
Yeah, she plays for herself on YouTube, and then decides that somehow she gets pressured into forming a band. It was incredibly popular in the Western fan base, and the panel was there. So that's Keiichiro Saito, who is the director for Frieren and for Bocchi the Rock. Yeah. And so they also had the VA for Bocchi.
Yeah.
Who was Yoshino Aoyama. I think she went by Yopi. And she was she does the voice well, but she was super cheerful.
Yeah. That panel was fun.
That was fun. It was fun.
It was a good time. I mean, no major announcements.
But the takeaway I would have from that is, are you going to watch Bocchi now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been recommending it for a while. Granted, I recommend you a lot, but
that was something I was going to watch before the panel, but...
Has it moved up your list?
It made it more urgent to watch.
Yeah.
And then Blue Box.
Blue Box, you and I went to together. So that one we had Shoya Chiba, who's the voice actor for Taiki, the main boy, and then Akari Kito, the voice actor for Hina Chono, who's not the main girl, but his friend. That is a romance meets sports manga that's been running in Shonen Jump. Probably the best romance. I don't even think that's a hard thing to say. The best romance running in Shonen Jump right now. So he plays badminton. She plays basketball. She's a year older than him in high school. They both try really hard. He's got a crush on her. She's starting to notice him more because they both show up early in the mornings, and hopefully romance happens.
Is it sports or is it romance?
It's both.
Yeah.
The sports is actually pretty good, and the romance is really nice.
Nice.
So yeah, it somehow does a good balance of both, which is rare for Shonen Jump.
All right. What else? You got 1, 2.
I'm gonna blow through a couple of these. So
7,
Aniplex,
8, 9, 10.
I'm gonna blow through a couple of these. Aniplex had a huge panel. It was the first day I was excited, but it ended up mostly being recaps of stuff that had already happened. Like they talked about the Hashira arc for Demon Slayer, and it had already ended. Now, granted, apparently the dub isn't all out, but
I think it's only up to episode 4.
But all of the
about
episodes had been out,
the
yeah.
next
And then
and final
they're
arc
like,
will
oh,
be
and here are movies, and we were
Yeah.
like, we all know about the movies. So that one was mostly stuff we all knew. But there was a new trailer for Mahou Shoujo Madoka Magica Walpurgis Rising, a movie we've all been waiting for a long time. Everybody got really excited because it's supposed to come out this year, and then at the very end, it said coming soon, and we were all expecting a date, and there's only 6 months left. So, are we getting that this year,
Tap,
Shaft?
tap, tap.
I'm not rushing them. Like it'll be good. Take whatever time, but that was surprising. And then there was staff from Masquerade and A1 there, which was really cool. Trigun Stampede. Two of the producers were there. Yoshihiro Watanabe, great guy, speaks really good English and has a good stage presence. And another one of the producers, Katsuhiro Take. Yoshihiro signed my badge, so that alone was really cool.
Oh,
I caught him at the end as he was like signing stuff for other people. He signed my badge, which was neat. But they showed off some really amazing Kotobukiya figures, which I want. One of the guys even said he's like, there was a figure when Trigun originally aired, because Stampede is a retelling of the story by Studio Orange. There was a figure that he'd wanted when the show originally came out that he could never get his hands on. So he's like, so now we've got this figure coming out for Stampede that's amazing, I can get my hands on. So if you have a figure that you really want of a series that you can't get your hands on, get the rights to do a remake, and then you can make it yourself. And then they revealed the season 2 name, which is Trigun Stargaze. It will be the last season, which is great. Unlike a lot of Western shows, this is one where it's 2 seasons and done. I got to see the panel for Hat Atelier. Which I describe as the Emily of manga. That is young girl who loves the idea of magic and witches, but she's an unlearned. She's not part of it. You're supposed to be born into magic. Suddenly finds herself running into a magical teacher in chapter 1, and through a series of unfortunate circumstances, finds herself getting accepted to an atelier, an offshoot school where she can learn from that professor. And
So magic actually exists.
Magic actually exists, and there's like darker elements. Obviously, there's some people using it for nefarious purposes, but it's much more about the joy and the beauty of magic, and that wonder that she and these other young girls learning at that atelier have. So it's about girls' friendship. It's about the creativity of magic and just the joy of learning and loving to learn.
It sounds like Ghibli-ish.
Yeah, but there's also the teacher has gray hair and is the Gojo Kakashi type. So when we saw the back of Kifre Sensei in the trailer, which they showed twice, every girl in the audience was screaming, loudest part of any panel I went to.
All right, calling it here. Next husbando.
Next husbando is Kifre, and unlike Kakashi and Gojo, not as aloof. A little friendlier.
So we're just waiting for like really jacked guys to dress as this at the next con.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that was really good, and the
Let's do that.
author Kamome Shirohama Sensei was there dressed as like one of the villains, because a lot of manga authors tend to not show their face for whatever reason. So I don't know why.
Like that.
Fujimoto, I think, has, but a lot of them, they'll like wear masks or something from their series to like hide their faces.
I get it. People get like really attached to these things, and if it doesn't end up the way you want it to end up, I'm sure people...
It gets weird.
Yeah, don't some of them too have like a little like emoji?
They all have like face pictures that they have in the magazines for their comments instead of showing their faces. And in the extras in the volumes, they'll usually have like a character version of themselves they draw talking about making it. And it's like they'll never draw themselves.
I'm surprised they don't create their like own little mangaka VTubers or something. Like that way they can just always have like a public persona.
Yeah.
I think the thing is they don't like being in the public eye.
I'm surprised.
But then they could just use that.
Or they don't have time to be in the public.
So the author of Kaguya-sama, Aka Akasaka, I'm surprised he might, because he loves playing Apex Legends and he loves playing with VTubers. He also plays Rust. So every time Oshi... This is legit. Every time Oshinoko goes on break is because there's a new Apex season or an Apex tournament going on. Like, it's legitimately he loves Apex, and that's when he's not making manga, it's for that reason.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for him.
He's a complete troll. It's great.
I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, she was there. They had two of the producers from Bugworks, the studio, doing it, which was really neat.
What else?
2B Hero X panel is one I think Emily will enjoy. The reason is the director Li Haolin, this is a Chinese director, is the guy behind Link Click, and he also did To Be Hero and To Be Heroine. Yeah. He was a pretty entertaining guy, and they played episode 1 for everybody, another world premiere, and I had no idea what it was going to be about. I admittedly bounced off of To Be Heroine a couple years ago and never went back to it. It has like 9 different art styles in it, and it's really felt like a flex of that studio to show that, like, hey, China is fully capable of making incredible anime, and we're going to show you every different version of it we could in a single episode.
So this is To Be Hero X, and
yes.
there was To Be Hero and
there's
To Be
Hero and To Be Heroine, and I don't know that they're truly connected. They're different stories, and this one is about superheroes are real, but they get their power from the love of the public. So the more popular you are, the more power you have.
It's like American Gods.
Yeah, so there's this guy who works for a marketing firm for the #1 hero. They get treated terribly making stuff for this #1 hero, and obviously it's kind of like The Boys, where it's all...
It's like the end of Elf, where the sleigh can only fly.
It's kind of like that, yeah. And it's all
reference.
It's all a facade, and something happens to that #1 hero, and then the main character suddenly gets involved, and it ends on a ridiculous twist like Link Click does. I was like, this is really cool, and then the last 10 seconds happen, and everybody just goes, what?
That's it?
Just every single person. No, not that's it, but like a thing happens literally in the last 5 seconds, and everyone's just like, wait, that's
a good one or a bad one?
Like a twist no one was expecting. What? Like, holy cow!
Fun.
When is episode 2 coming out?
Hopefully it can continue with that level of excitement.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Yes. Crunchyroll and Kadokawa had a couple special panels. One is a show I believe you were interested in.
Yeah, I want to
Alya
watch
sometimes
this one.
hides her feelings in Russian. Looks gorgeous.
Wait, why are you interested in this?
It's a romance.
Because it's your typical tsundere who speaks in Russian and
the main character actually does speak Russian and understands so sometimes when she gets flustered because of her crush on him, she will say things that he can understand about him. Of course, he doesn't realize. He's like, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Maybe she's not into me. He is a bit of the stereotypical Japanese hero. I was gonna say heroine, but hero, where he doesn't understand that girls are into him, despite blatant spoken evidence. But it's cute.
Does the VA have a Japanese accent when speaking Russian?
That's a good question.
I'm curious. There is going to be an English dub for this one.
Yeah,
so
that's a good question.
I don't know if the English dub will also have.
I don't know Russian well enough that I was paying attention to that.
What was the one you watched where they had Canadian
Hokkaido
accents?
girls.
Oh.
The English VAs have
Canada, the Hokkaido of Japan.
Yeah.
No, the Hokkaido of America.
Yeah.
Hokkaido. You're right, I did flip that. Yeah. Hokkaido, the Canada of Japan. You can take that as a tagline.
That's the podcast name.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that one looked really cool. And then they showed No Longer Allowed in Another World, which is a depressed author wants to commit partner suicide with his lover.
Yeah, I saw this one because it has
and then
as
they're about to do it in a river by a forest, Truck-kun comes out of nowhere through the forest and kills them and is isekai'd into another world.
And he wants to.
He wakes up. No, he doesn't. He was trying to kill himself, and he's very disappointed.
He
is trying to kill himself, and the goddess who has brought him into this new world really wants him to accept his role as the hero, and he does not.
Is this a comedy?
It's a comedy. It's a little harem, which I don't like that aspect of it, but it had me laughing quite a few times. And there have been a number of isekai with the reluctant hero. I don't think there's any more reluctant than constantly trying to kill himself. Just let him kill himself.
He's the Rhina.
Yeah. No, the stills give Aizawa vibes.
Ooh.
A little bit. Yeah. That's a pretty fair comparison. So saw that one. Metaphor Refantazio, the only game in here. This is the studio that makes Persona 3, 4, and 5 and other Personas, so it's Atlas. This one's a bit more fantasy. I don't want to talk too much about it. It's not anime, but it's anime style. The art was really cool. They showed off the characters. We got to watch the opening cutscene for the game. They showed off the UI. I was mildly interested. I really like Persona 5. After the panel, I am pre-ordering the game.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool.
What is it going to be on?
It'll be on everything. It's on PlayStation 5, Xbox, PC. So you can play. I don't know if it's going to be on Switch immediately, but I think the Persona games do eventually hit Nintendo. But get it before then.
All right.
Yeah.
Frieren.
And Apothecary Diaries. I don't have a ton to report here. The panels were cool.
Did they announce anything?
No.
Season 2's already been announced.
Not for Frieren.
For Apothecary.
But not for
Diaries.
Frieren. So if you read our article about expectations, the Frieren panel also had Keiichiro Saito, the director. The voice of Himmel was there, which was great. Nobuhiko Okamoto. And then the monster designer, Daiki Harashina. And the animation producer from Madhouse, Yurishiro Fukui. A lot of cool conversation between them about how big it got and the expectations there. And of course, Saito talking about how difficult it was for them to create a show that was going to be 28 episodes and maintain the quality throughout. If you haven't seen it, it's probably most people's anime of 2023. Unfortunately, I was really expecting between that and the Bocchi panel that one of them would get a season 2 announced because he's the director for both, and neither of them announced it.
I feel like they both have to get.
Frieren will get a season 2. It's too popular not to get it. Like, they don't need to do market research on that one.
Like, half the people at the con were cosplaying Frieren characters.
So I'm assuming there's some conflict with the teams where they're like, hey, they can't start on it yet. Saito theoretically should be working on Bocchi first if Bocchi gets a season 2 because it came out before.
Yeah.
And the movies did really well, so I just assumed they would.
Well, if he's working
they've already greenlit on him, but no announcements. So
if he's working on both, I hope at least he's getting a break. They all need breaks.
Animation studios, yeah.
Yeah. They all look very tired. The VAs.
The VAs were fine. Anybody working on the anime, not the producers, but the directors, the people doing animation,
the directors, animators,
they all look tired. Excited to be there, loved the crowds. They don't normally, I think one of the panels I went to, they said, like, we don't have cons like this in Japan where they get that much exposure to fans. So I think it's really helpful for them to just see how big the global reach is. And then Apothecary Diaries, the director, Norihiro Naganuma, was there, character designer, Yukiko Nakatani, which was really cool, and the color designer, Misato Aita. So if you've watched Apothecary Diaries, the color choices in that series are very distinct. I don't think every animation or every anime has someone in that role.
Very vibrant.
Yeah, she went through a lot of the rationale for the choices that were made in the anime, and that was really cool. So it made me even more excited for season 2, which has been confirmed, so we didn't get any announcement about it.
Do you have any tidbits? Now
yeah,
I'm
like
interested.
that sounds interesting.
I might actually. Give me one moment. Yeah, because she was fascinating to listen
I
to.
love Mao Mao and Jinshi.
Yeah,
The purple and green.
they did talk a lot about the two of them together as well, which was really funny. Oh, and of course, Okamoto, the VA of Himmel, they all had to show their favorite scenes. His was buying Frieren in the ring and what's going through his mind. And I'll speak about this actually because it's really cool. He says her name multiple times in that flashback, and he described it working on it as tokui, which is a Japanese word that kind of translates to like a very strong longing. And what he said is you can see how both of their feelings are kind of running in parallel, and every time I say her name, it's in different emotions. So at times it's like I'm talking to a mother. Other times it's like a sister, a nakama, which is like a best friend, a lover. And then he says,
Tell me more about nakama.
Yeah. No. He literally used it, and he said the word nakama is different. So they, all the fan subbers, Japan agrees. But then he says at the end, it almost feels like a proposal when I say her name. And of course, I'll never know how she felt in that moment. But then at the end of the episode, when you see her searching the forest for the ring, he says, when watching her search so hard from heaven, I hope she felt the same. And that's the Japanese word tokui. And everyone's like, holy shit. Yeah, I'd have to dig more. Oh, wait, that's about Frieren. You're right. I was like, where are my notes about Aita? Yeah, so her role included coming up with a template for them to keep consistent colors. And deciding on how those would carry through the show. So, for example, to capture the vibrance of the panelists, she would use strong primary colors to draw viewers into the world. And then in certain important scenes, the color would then take over, so it would go from like a more muted to getting stronger and more vibrant. A lot of times in their eyes, if you pay attention, when they're vibrant and happy, the colors would reflect that. And then in scenes where they're sad or depressed or something bad has happened, it'd be darker colors. And so they'd try to keep the color range dynamic throughout the show.
That's true. Like that whole bell scene.
No spoilers.
I'm just saying bells.
There's a scene with bells.
There's a scene with bells.
It could be a bunch of people named Bell. You don't know.
It's actually a crossover with Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, exactly.
That whole scene with the bells, like the color really does change.
Yeah.
Down that up.
So once she was showing a lot of different images to kind of convey what she was doing. It was really cool to hear from. And then last two, ReZero season 3. I don't know if I need to describe ReZero because it's season 3. If you're interested in season 3, you probably already are aware. But ReZero is one of the more popular isekai of the keep dying and repeat genre. So the main character, Natsuki Subaru, wakes up in another world. His only power is called Return by Death, where if he's killed, he returns back to a certain checkpoint. And the series focuses a lot on that. He dies a lot. He's not very powerful. Everyone around him is. And his role is essentially trying to steer them in the right path so that everybody can hopefully survive at the end.
Groundhog Day.
Sure, yeah, a more brutal Groundhog Day. With powers and a lot of cute girls.
What was the one with Tom Cruise?
Live, Die, Repeat, which is based off of the Japanese light novel All You Need Is Kill. They changed
really?
the name, yeah. I have the light novel. It's really good.
That was based on a light novel?
Yeah, and then it got a manga adaptation. Yeah.
Wait, but it wasn't Live Die Repeat. What was the
It
name
wasn't.
of the
It's
version?
called All You Need Is Kill.
No. But what was the American name? It wasn't Live Die
Something
Repeat.
Tomorrow. But they
Something
changed the
like
name
that,
to
yeah.
it was Live Die Repeat, and then they changed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, ReZero Season 3, all of the royal candidates for the throne, the 5 of them are all brought back together in the water city of Cristela. This is one of my favorite arcs from the light novels, and we got to see the first 90 minutes. So they put it all as one long episode, kind of like Oshinoko, because something happens at the 90-minute mark, and the director realized that, we can't just do a lot of setup. We need you all to get in, and then the hook will happen, and it did. And people in the audience who were not familiar with light novels, there was a very vocal response from everyone.
Are they going to release that first 90 minutes as a movie or like in theaters?
I think it's just going to be a long episode 1. I mean, realistically, what they'll probably do is it'll probably be broken up in 4 episodes, but my understanding, I can't say for sure, but my understanding is they'll probably do like what Oshinoko did and just drop it all at once. So that you can get hooked.
It is interesting that a lot of properties are doing that now. Where
They're
they'll
realizing
just
that,
have
like, hey, the first couple
movies.
episodes are set up, and it's better if we can just get you all in.
Or even
Yeah.
the ends, Demon
Yeah.
Slayer, Attack on Titan.
Yep.
Right? Just-
Well, yeah, there's a lot of money in that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one, Oshinoko, which I already mentioned, season 2, they showed episode 1, which I guess they showed in Japan, and then the world premiere of episode 2, both of which are set up for the theater arc. It's 2.5D theater, so it's like they probably have it in other places, but it's a Japanese thing where instead of a single stage, it's like a round room, and so there's multiple stages set up that they will then move around so that they don't have to do set changes, and the story can actually move around the audience.
Oh.
Yeah. I've never been to one. I'm more interested after having read the arc, and now seeing the anime, I'm even more interested.
That's a common thing in Japan?
It's decently common, yeah.
For like
It's not all theater does this.
for kabuki theater, for like modern
No, this
theater?
is I don't know how much they do it for, but I do know they do it for anime plays.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So if you're into Oshinoko already, it's worth checking out. This is I think a more interesting arc than the prior one, even though I loved season 1.
I dropped.
And if
season
you're
1.
into theater, like Karlo, you will absolutely love it because it's very much about all of the work that goes on behind the scenes to create a stage play and
do I need to watch season 1 to watch season 2?
You should.
I
Yes.
can't just pick it up. I gotta like.
You're not going to be invested in the characters. You won't know who a few of them are, and they're not going to explain it to you. So yes, you do need to watch 7 more episodes. You'll enjoy it. It's not as bad as you think it is. The mystery continues.
I was so impressed by the first.
That's only
by
2.5
the first
hours.
3 episodes, and then I just like. I don't know.
Yeah, I was setting up that hey, there's a reincarnation that's happening, and there's a bit of a mystery. The show is about the 2 kids getting more into. Well, Ruby wants to be an idol, but Aqua wants revenge. And what he's doing, everything he's doing is to try to feed his revenge, figuring out who it was who did a thing that I won't say in case you somehow haven't seen the first few episodes, and figure out who it is and get revenge on them.
Like the first
But
3
it's all through the Japanese entertainment industry. So like the first arc, you get to see what the idol industry is like, and it's a more honest take on the idol industry, like the good and a lot of the bad. And then they do reality TV. And how hard and kids in reality TV and how damaging social media is. And then this arc is all about theater productions, but also manga adaptations, because the play they're doing is a manga adaptation, and the author is maybe, let's not say the biggest fan of how the adaptation is turning out.
It just felt like a tonal shift. Like
It
the
is.
first 3 episodes were very much
I think it's
one
meant
thing.
to be like that.
But then I like wasn't bought in. I was like I was ready for more of what the first 3
Yeah,
episodes
but that's
was.
what you felt about with Love is War too, and it's the same author, right, Steve?
It is. No. That's yes, it is.
Yeah,
it's
the
it's
same.
Akasaka. Yeah.
So you felt that same way for Love is War, and then you gave it another try, and you really liked it.
Yeah.
So I think you just need to give it another
So
try.
we'll
feels like
report back.
homework.
We'll report back after he's caught up on the other 8 episodes, 7 or 8 episodes of Oshinoko. I think once it gets into the reality TV one, you're gonna get
I have
hooked
so
from
much
season 1.
homework from both of you.
Yes. So that anyway, and then there was the Dandadan. So I already talked about that. That's my very long take because I went to a lot of panels.
Emily, how about you?
Yeah, so didn't go nearly as many panels as Steve did. So I'll just run through mine quickly. So we went to a Radwimps panel. So if you don't know, it was mostly a Makoto Shinkai panel, analyzing all of his works, his process, how he picks the music for his movies. If you don't know who Makoto Shinkai is, he's the director behind Your Name, Weathering with You. Suzume is his most
If you've watched
recent.
an anime film,
Chances
recently it was
are
probably his.
it's either
him or
Ghibli.
Ghibli.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Ghibli puts out 1 movie every 10 years. So if you've watched 2 anime films, you've seen a Makoto Shinkai.
Yeah. So it was nice because it explored some of his earlier works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's on my
it
watch
was
list.
2
And it was 2 professors
Mm-hmm.
from a local university,
Yeah.
and they have a whole class on anime music. So it was really fun to see teachers nerding out about music.
Yeah, they do arrangements of these pieces.
Yeah,
and
they have a
hold
choral,
concerts.
an anime chorus
Oh, okay.
that they do.
Yeah, and they invited everybody to go. So.
Yeah. And we did get to sing. We got to sing "Great Escape" from Weathering with You. If you know,
Nice.
you know.
Wait,
So-
when's this concert? Did we miss it?
They have it at the end of every semester.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll have to do some research
Yeah,
and find out.
we're gonna go to this college
I'm gonna bring
concert.
light sticks.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
gotta have the overpowered light sticks. Okay.
So that was
What else?
one. Then I went to the My Love Story with Yamada-kun Level 999 panel, which was mostly a Magamo panel. So the series is currently on hiatus, but just a quick summary there. You have college girl, gets broken up with. She plays a role-playing game online, and her boyfriend ends up cheating on her and breaking up. She then goes to a convention related to this game, runs into him, and so she finds the next guy to pretend to be her boyfriend. Unbeknownst to her, this guy that she found is literally a competitive video game competitor.
Yep.
And so and it's another love story, slice of life. So that was fun, but the highlight for me was when they announced some of their upcoming titles. And I have to pull this up because some of them are actually ridiculous.
Oh, we're getting into Japanese light novel naming.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say some of them are added to my list. So I Fell in Love, so I'm streaming it.
That one's fun.
I picked up a homeless guy.
Okay.
Wait,
that's it?
There is an alternative one of those, which is a guy picking up like a homeless
Yeah.
girl, and that one's it's worse when guys do it. So that one's probably good.
Date of Marriage, Control Love, Nanase-san Crazy Love Obsession, Ugly Duckling of the Entertainment District, He Was My Brother.
Wait.
That last one is all one title?
Ugly Duckling of the Entertainment District.
Yeah,
He Was My
no,
Brother.
Ugly Duckling of the Entertainment District, and then another one is He
Oh,
Was My
okay, I was
Brother.
gonna say.
I thought it was.
So-
Imagine all of those as one title.
I mean,
Yeah.
then that would be a light novel, but
Yeah.
yes. But it was a fun panel. They had a lot of good giveaways. They're also going to have another panel at Anime NYC, and so they had some really cool Yamada-kun merch, so I'm hoping that they come
Ooh,
back
all right.
so that I can go back and hopefully win
Did we
another
ever get
raffle.
a confirmation on season 2 for that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That was one of the more popular ones last year, so
Yeah,
it
fingers
may not
crossed.
be immediate, but I wouldn't be surprised if that one gets a season 2. And also the studio that worked on it did such a great job. Unfortunately, a number of anime adaptations feel a little phoned in sometimes, like they're just to promote the source, but the art and the work in general on that one was really good.
Yeah, it was really cool. They had an exclusive cover, insert at that, so maybe they'll have it at Anime NYC too.
Okay.
Then a few other ones were more fun-ish, so Waifu Wars was one that because I couldn't go to Dandadan,
Yeah.
I went to Waifu Wars, which was an 18
We
plus.
showed up at the end.
At the end.
And we didn't know what.
It was an
moly.
18 plus panel, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but it pits two waifus or husbandos, they didn't discriminate against each other, and it was physical challenges. You had to
It had nothing to
Yeah,
do with the wife.
I know she said it didn't require explanation, but it is not what I think we were expecting.
Yeah. And I will say that these individuals were fun, but feral is the only way that I could describe it.
You're not wrong.
It was like a game show where it was just like, here's two waifus. Which one's better? But instead of debating it, it's like, okay, we're gonna figure
It was
out
like a
which one's
pie
better
eating
because
contest.
somebody can eat more pie.
Yeah,
than
or
the other person.
you had to collect trinkets that they distributed out
The
in the group.
speech one was wild, where it was give a
was like
rousing speech.
A 1 minute rousing speech.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a fun one. Again,
It was a night panel.
It was a night. Well, like I said, because I couldn't get into Dandadan, there's always something to do.
Yes.
So I just meandered to the next room, and Waifu Wars was going on.
It had
And then
the
she
energy-
texted us to come, and we just didn't know what the heck we were getting into.
It had the energy of if you went into a preschool classroom and the teacher was not there.
Nope.
And the kids had all just had Capri Sun.
But they said that it's been going on. It's pretty established. They've had the same event for
Somebody
I
had
think
a flag
5+
you
years.
said that they ran
Yeah,
with it, right?
someone had a flag, was running down the
This
aisles.
was in a big room. There were hundreds of people.
Yeah,
at
so I
this.
think it's a pretty notorious panel or event that Anime Expo has.
Unfortunately, at the end, Ray beat Asuka and Misato, so it was trash. It was absolutely terrible.
I want to go to that. Out of everything that we saw again, like out of everything we saw, I would want to go to that again.
They
just
had
for the chaos of it.
I think when was Dandadan? Was that Friday?
That was
or
Saturday. It was
Saturday.
Saturday
So
night.
then
It was Saturday
Friday
night.
night they had Waifu Wars Apocalypse. So I don't know what the differentiation there was.
They came to physical blows.
Yeah, but
No, that was the X-Men version.
and then they have random dance play there. So for K-pop and J-pop. So if you don't know what random dance play is, you
I will
hopefully have
insert. I will insert video of Emily
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. Maybe you've seen it on TikTok, but it's when they play a song and it's only like 20-second snippets. But when you have the choreographed dances like in K-pop, Blackpink, and in J-pop.
Did they do J-pop as well? I've
They
always
did
seen
have a
K-pop.
separate J-pop.
Okay,
They
because
had
I
a
always see
separate
the
J-pop
videos like
K-pop
TikTok
one.
for K-pop. I hadn't seen it for J-pop. So.
And they had workshops. They had workshops, which was cool too, because if it's something that you're interested in and you're like nervous or scared or like a
Me,
little
I
apprehensive,
I want to do it, but I don't know any of the dances.
you
Very
can
supportive.
It's so supportive, and you can go to the workshop. They'll teach you a dance, and it's very slow, very beginner friendly. You don't have to have any sort of rhythm to really go. So I thought it was a really fun, positive atmosphere.
I think the best is when like nobody knows the dance except for one person, and they go up and just.
Oh my
swing.
god, it's like
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
The cheer, everyone is so
like, "Ah!"
supportive.
I have so much footage of that.
Yeah.
Anime NYC is unfortunately coming up really quick, but if the timing works and there's also an instructional panel, maybe Karlo, you and I go learn a dance just so we can do one. I want you to join me.
Move on.
All right. Then we had some quick other ones. I went to the VShojo panel. So that had 4 or 5 VTubers.
You said you didn't like it.
The moderator was not my favorite, but
There are a lot of different moderators there, and some of them are incredible at what they're doing.
But
and
I
some of them
will
were
say it was
okay.
probably a challenge because you're literally talking to a computer screen. You can't there's delay and streaming. Sometimes you can't tell if you're losing connection. So I think the technology aspect was a little
Like
challenging.
room for a loop.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. But it was fun seeing the VTubers interact with each other, and I think I always love, this is my cosplay brain, seeing the costumes, because they literally were changing them on a dime. They'd be talking, and then another one would be changing a costume in the corner, because they can just toggle between skins.
I know Iron Mouse has at least 30, 40
Yeah, so it was really
ones, just
cool
herself.
seeing all the character
Yeah.
designs.
Yeah, obviously it's expensive to make these models, but once you have the models, it's a little bit cheaper, but they still have to get them all designed by people, and so a lot of these VTubers that are bigger, they'll change models a couple times a year. They'll have this is my new Christmas model for 2024, and maybe in another year or two I'll get a new one for that, but then I've got a Halloween model, and then it's hey, I got a new sleepy model for when I'm doing late nights.
And is it usually the same artist who will design it?
They'll
it's
get different artists.
And it's sometimes it can be completely different. So the ones that were there were Hime, Zen, My Melody, Kei-san, and...
Wasn't Mouse at that one?
No, not
she
that
wasn't,
one.
okay.
And one other one.
Gia?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
I remember seeing Gia was there.
And so yeah, seeing them interact with each other was quite fun, but the moderator was not very good.
The advantage you have with VTubers is they're on stream for hours and hours every day, and so especially within VShojo, they spend probably days and weeks of actual time, net time, just playing with each other. So they're very capable of playing off of each other.
Yeah.
And they're used to talking to chat and just being very
And
Candid.
dealing with the
Candid,
struggle
yeah.
of not being in person. So even though everybody else is in person, they're on a screen. They're like, well, this is the same. It's just now all of chat is hanging out together.
Yeah. I will say what I did. So aside from this panel, I did go to the VShojo booth, and they had fun games between the VTubers. So it was a Family Feud situation, and meet and greets. So that I thought was way more fun than the actual panel itself. The panel seemed to focus more on how did you get into VTubing? If you want a VTube, how do you do this? 3D versus 2D, more of the technical aspects of it. But this being my first interaction with VTubing in general, aside from Iron Mouse, who I know, the actual VShojo booth was very fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, and then 2 other quick ones. The Masquerade and the World Cosplay Summit. I always like to go
You
to
say
these.
2. Were those different? I couldn't tell.
I
Well,
wish I didn't go.
I mean,
It was.
it's hard when we were far away. You had to choose seats, which was our first time having
It
to
was
do
a
that.
separately ticketed event
Yeah.
in the convention center.
Yeah.
And we got seats decently far away, but not everybody showed up. So we could have moved
could've
up, but
moved.
we didn't because I think we were well,
'Cause
people
I
paid for
didn't
those seats.
Want to.
to be fair to people, and you probably have the same. Like, it's very impressive the
Costuming
cosplay
is
that people
great.
made.
Yes.
And I guess that's more the Masquerade part. It was the cosplay summit part that I think we had challenges with.
So it's not just a cosplay competition. It's like cosplay, and then they have to do a skit.
There were two different parts, right? Because some of them didn't
it's
skit.
It's.
I don't know which one was first.
Well, the summit is like where the people was like the last half of it, where the
that
people.
was the skits.
I think
No, the skits was the Masquerade, and then the cosplay summit was at the end.
Okay, I
where there were
clearly
like
couldn't tell it
5 or
apart.
6 people. I guess they had vetted them
Oh,
before.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless, it was a fun event. It's always fun to see people in cosplay and see how these people can miraculously pull off these like really amazing costumes.
Yeah. Costuming.
And the
they're
confidence.
constantly talking about they built it all themselves and like decided on stitching.
Yeah.
And some of them were like, I went historical and figured out how this whole outfit would have been
Yeah.
made 400 years ago.
Yeah.
I left really wondering what the rubric looks like because the
Yeah.
quality of the costuming was starkly different than the quality of the skits.
Right, which is not what they're. I don't think most of them are in it for the skit.
Which is
but
why
they
I'm-
have to do a skit.
Yeah, which is why I'm interested about the rubric. Like,
If we find it, we'll link it below.
Yeah. And what's extra challenging is so the people doing the competition for the USA finals was the winner would then go to Nagoya,
Japan.
maybe? I
Yeah.
think
Nagoya,
Nagoya
yeah.
for cosplay competition there. But I'm like, the skits are already literally no complaints about the people doing them because like I'm not doing a skit, but they weren't necessarily the most interesting to watch. And now you're going to do it in a country where nobody can understand the skit that you're doing.
They were in English too.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, props to everybody for making them. That part of it wasn't as much for us, but the cosplay itself was amazing, and like all the props to the people who did it. I don't envy people having to pick a winner.
Yeah.
I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum.
No.
Yeah,
It's
it's just the
not
skits
for
weren't
me.
for me.
Yeah.
I was just gonna lead off though.
We don't have skits in the Anime NYC one, right?
No, that's just cosplay.
They separate it out.
Okay.
They have they have a masquerade, I believe, and they have a cosplay competition. I believe they separate it.
And I will go to the one in Anime NYC, because I want to see how it is, not just the cosplay, obviously that's amazing, but also to see what the skits are like and if they're different, because I straight up don't understand how they dictate.
I don't think it's skits. I think it's like the lip sync stuff at Anime NYC, if you remember.
So like lip sync a scene. kind
Yeah,
of thing?
it's like you do a music video.
We'll
like,
Exactly.
we'll know. We'll have more to say for sure in a month.
yeah.
What were you going to say about it? I feel like
No, I was gonna say the last thing I wanted to say about the Masquerade was like, although it may not have been for us, I commend the confidence that these people
And
have.
it was for other people in the audience.
Yeah.
There were people with glow sticks. People were chanting
Yeah.
and singing and screaming.
Like,
There were a lot of people who were.
I
into
think
it.
it's a really fun experience, and to do it once, if it's not for you,
Yeah.
fine.
It was
but
$12 to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just I commend the people like. There was, I think, a 6-year-old up on stage,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, I can't even imagine doing that when I was, 6 or 7
And you
years
talked
old.
to their mom.
Yeah, yeah, but
They-
yeah, that's
They were 6 and they had done it 5 times before.
yeah. I don't know how
Yeah,
they
that
crawled
that,
across
that
the
got
stage.
me concerned because then I was like, does the kid like doing it, or were they taught to like to do it? But it was impressive that they were doing it.
Unless they did all 5 times. In this
Well,
past year.
also, the kid was dressed as Hitsugaya, the ice captain of Division 6. 11, 6 from
Fire Force.
Bleach, I think. I'm probably wrong about that number. I'm sorry. That show is not for 6-year-olds, so I don't know how he decided on that cosplay. He looks cool. I hope that child is not watching Bleach because there is straight up blood in that.
All right, and then the last panel I went to was the My Hero Academia panel,
yeah.
which was plugging the new movie, My Hero Academia You're Next, which is You're Next. And it's a cool concept, and we got to see the first 15 minutes, which I was very pleasantly surprised. Like, it was very hyped music, the art was really cool, the action was good, and it essentially explores like an alternate universe in the My Hero Academia world if All Might was a bad guy. So
Yeah,
like,
fun.
yeah. So
And you got to interview them.
and the same voice actor does both. So he does Dark Might and All Might. So got to interview both of them and talk through the movie. So that'll be linked below for anyone who wants to watch that further.
When does that movie come out?
October 11th in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it comes out in August.
In August
Something.
6th, I think, or 8th.
In Japan.
In Japan. So if you're really
So
excited,
avoid spoilers.
You can fly to Japan.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll hit New York theaters in October.
Yeah, you might not understand the words that you're saying, but you'll understand the punches being thrown.
Yeah.
You'll understand the general vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
My panel, I went to a lot of the panels that you went to, a lot of the panels that you went to, so I won't repeat. But probably the most interesting one I went to a Trigger industry panel.
Mhm.
So
Studio Trigger.
Studio Trigger, who did Promare, who did Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Who did Kill la Kill, the team that worked on
Lagann,
Gurren Lagann, that did Little Witch
Dungeon Meshi.
Academia, Dungeon Meshi.
So that's what they came to do. They did a Q&A and a live drawing of Marcille from Dungeon Meshi. And it was fun. Trigger is
I've seen them like 4 times.
Consistently, they're like a very entertaining, very energetic group of people.
And there's the one guy on their team who did all the translating for them, right?
Yes, yeah.
They have.
He's there at every
one
panel.
thing they do, which I've never seen any other studio really do. I mean, sometimes they have somebody who speaks English, but he is their translator. He's on their team, but he's there to translate, and they really understand Western humor.
Oh yeah, they're making jokes that are very American.
They did a Kickstarter for Little Witch Academia. Like, they're way more aware. Yeah, because, that was when the West was like, you guys should just let us kickstart since we don't have a way to send you money. And they're like, yeah, let's do it for a movie. Yeah.
So the funny thing about the Trigger panel, I mean, everything was great. But in the beginning, they had brought out 2 people. It was the translator.
Yep.
And they also brought out the person who was going to moderate the panel, who is
part of their team, right?
Part of their team. He's the director, the person who runs their YouTube account. But this was his first panel that he had ever run. Okay. So he introduced himself and the translator, he's on the team too, but I don't know what his real role is. He's not just a translator. He's
no. He actually does work there. He's just, his English is so good that he's on everything.
So they brought this guy up, this poor guy, and he was just about to introduce the president of Trigger. And he goes, and now to bring out 2 very important guests. And as he did that, 2 people came from the side of the room. One had a huge anarchy flag and a party speaker, and the other was dressed in like this really bad costume. The one without the speaker jumps on stage, starts singing along to to the party speaker, but nobody could hear what they were singing because it's a huge room and everybody had mics.
Did you say, or someone else did, that it was a song from Dungeon Meshi or something like that? Like, it wasn't a random
I don't
song.
know. I have no
Maybe
idea.
somebody else told me that.
I could
be wrong.
I was in the front row and I could barely hear it.
So they did not practice.
But the whole crowd, because the YouTube director had just said, I'm bringing out 2 very special people, and those two people came on, everybody was like, oh, are these the people? Are these the people that they brought? And then he pulls out, on stage, a GoPro.
Oh, because he's just like, this is crazy.
He's like, this is nuts. He starts filming it.
Yeah, this stuff does not happen in Japan.
And everybody in the crowd was just like, what is happening? What's going on? And eventually, on the mic, he goes, all right, thank you very much. That's enough. And then security came, escorted them off. And then they were very gracious about it. He's like, that was a very interesting experience. And then the president came up and he said, that was a very interesting intro. I hope that our panel is just as interesting for the rest of you. And that was like the last that they referenced of it. Actually, no, the YouTube moderator, or the moderator, the YouTube guy, he had said, this was my first panel, so I didn't know if they were playing a prank on me. He thought they were just playing with him.
Yeah.
But
because he couldn't understand the song. He's like, I don't realize that this is disruptive and weird.
Yeah. But the rest of the panel was great. It was funny as the 2 hackers, I don't know what we call them.
Stage rushers.
As they got pushed out the door. Some guy in the crowd, everybody's quiet, he just goes, you look like shit!
Well, I think you missed, did you explain how they were dressed?
Oh my gosh! The one
Bury
guy,
the lead.
The one guy with the party speaker and the flag, he had on like your typical anime black shirt with like waifus on it, but it was like way too tight, and like shorts that went past his knees, but not in a stylish way. And the other had like purple hair and like a crop top and a jean jacket, like looked like their own like OC anime character.
Okay. Which actually they might have just been dressed as an anime character you don't know.
Might have been, but it looked like they went through a car wash. Like everything was just smeared. To the person in the crowd's credit, like they did look like shit.
Okay. And they were rude. So.
And they were rude, which makes it more deserving.
Like if you're gonna disrupt a panel, don't disrupt a fun panel like a Trigger panel. Like just let them go.
Yeah, disrupt a boring one.
Yeah.
Like
I saw
like why animators shouldn't be allowed to sleep.
Yeah. I saw Trigger at Anime NYC last year, and they did design characters to be in the next panty and stocking. Somebody yelled out Timberland, and they were like, they were trying to figure it out, and they're Googling. They're like, do you mean the artist? And people are like, no, the boot, because it was named things about New York City, and somebody felt Timberlands were appropriate.
Timbs are very
so they drew a Mickey Mouse character, and instead of Disneyland, it was Timberland, and then they like crossed it out the name because they're like, oh, we're gonna get in copyright trouble, and they're like, we're definitely not gonna use Timberland because that is a copyright issue. but this character might appear in the show.
And did they?
It hasn't come out yet, but presumably it will. They do a lot of things where people come up with ideas at cons, and they're like, that's funny, and it'll just be like a little background character in the show. So,
what was really cool at the thing, they drew Marcille like in real time, and I hadn't clocked this before when watching it, but they said she has over 100 different hairstyles, and they showed like probably like 30 or 40 of them, and I didn't realize that she did have that. Did you?
I only know because of Reddit, because every episode thread that I would read, there would be somebody near the top who's like, this episode, Marcille had 13 more hairstyles. We're now up to like 63. And like they would just keep a running Imgur list or collection of all the different hairstyles. Yeah. So if you haven't noticed that, watch out for it when you're watching Dungeon Meshi. It's not like, oh, a day has changed her hairstyle. No. It's like, no, the scene has changed and her hair may have changed.
They just like do it for fun.
Yeah, which raises the question, was she a changeling the entire time?
The whole time.
Yeah.
My favorite hairstyle in any anime is Bald Chica at the end credits of God of War.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to
Detective Chica.
Bald Marcille.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Detective Chica's good too.
I want Detective Marcille.
All right. Now, who we saw, I'll start off because you guys saw way more people than I did. I was just like a bystander for most of this, just taking it all in.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw Mudan. He is part of the team that works with Chris abroad, right?
He's the editor for pretty much every Anituber. He started, I think, for Joey, if not Connor. But he was doing his own videos. Joey saw his stuff when he was small, asked him to start editing for him. Mudan's really good at it. Then he started editing for Sea Dog. He doesn't for Gigguk yet, but he does it for Iron Mouse now, and I think Rainho. He edits for literally probably more than a dozen people, and then he started his own company and he trains up other people, like a whole squad in Estonia.
He definitely has like a style.
He really has a style, and he's so fast. It's nuts. He'll they'll record a trash taste. He hasn't had to do this a lot, but like if he needed, they'll record a whole 3-hour trash taste episode and he'll have the edit out like 4 hours later.
And right now
he edits in 4x speed. That's part of his trick. Is he plays the whole thing in 4x speed and he can like hear where he needs to make cuts and edits and things like that. Yeah,
that's insane.
He is, and he moved to Japan maybe 5 months ago now, and he's doing daily vlogs the entire year. So every day he has to record a video and get it edited and post it before he goes to bed.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But we met him, and he was doing we just went up to say like, hi, love your stuff.
Yeah, you were the one who spotted him.
You spotted him. And
Emily has eyes for this. I do not.
Emily had the eyes, and then she was like, is that Mudan?
Yeah. I don't know people's names, but I know faces.
Yeah. So I just walked up. I was like, are you Mudan? Gave him some daps, told him we loved his work, and he's like, oh, do you want to be in my video? Mm-hmm. So we're in his daily vlog.
The day before he had bought, like, he and his friends $500 worth of random anime merch and then threw it in a bag. We were the first people he ran into.
Yeah, so we reached into the bag and we pulled out some stuff.
This was, by the way, after talking to him for like 2 or 3 minutes where he could kind of like vibe check that we weren't going to be super weird, which I think is why he let us do it.
Yeah, so there's a video of me pulling out, and I'll show it in our haul section of the video. Yep. We don't need to pull it up now.
Well, I've got mine right here.
You got yours? Ah.
This is my little horsey that his name is Horsey. He's a Palomino, and even though it is a large figure and not an anime thing, because it's from Mudan, it's going to sit on my desk. Yeah. And judge me for not editing as fast as he does.
It was great. So that's who I saw. Steve, who did you see?
There were a couple people I wanted to see that I wasn't able to, but I did get to see Shibuya Kaho a couple times. We actually ran into her
in the Centaur outfit.
In the Centaur outfit, outside of my hotel where we were getting coffee the first morning, because Emily was following her on TikTok or Instagram and saw her cosplay, so knew what she was dressed as. Emily, because and to be fair, I don't know if maybe she turned, I would have seen her, but Emily and I went up and like played it really quick because she was with the team, she was moving. I just said I said hi in Japanese to like get her attention. Then when she turned, it was just real quick, like, don't want to interrupt, no photos or anything, just want to say, love your work, and the cosplay looks great. And she had like the moment of like, oh God, is this going to turn into a thing? And then she was like, oh, okay, thank you, and left.
I stayed on the coffee line.
Yeah. I've got some video of her from her booth, because she was actually at a booth all 4 days. We never ended up having time to get over there, but she...
doing photo ops and
stuff. She dressed as Speed the first day from One Piece, and then the second day, I can't remember the name's character. She's got like green hair and bat wings, but I saw her... Yes. So I got to see her a couple times. Obviously, I got to interview the folks from Dandadan, got to see Shirahama Kamome from the author of Hat Atelier. Mm-hmm. The other, probably the biggest one, and again, Emily spotted, once again, I can't spot anybody, is we ran into Joey, the anime man. Who used to be the anime man, doesn't do as many...
So you can edit his face right now.
Yeah, if you don't know who he is, thank you. giving me more work to do. You didn't make it bounce to make it worse. So Emily clocked him. He was with a videographer. Mudan was doing stuff on a GoPro. And Emily got a selfie with him, so I got a photo, and then he said he was actually filming something once we talked to him, again, like normal people.
I was there too.
You were. And the three of us, we were just chatting with him about liking his stuff, and so he's like, hey, do you mind if I put you on camera? And he asked each of us, what is your worst
anime hot take?
Your anime hot take. So presumably there will be a video coming out in the future. I think our answers were pretty good.
But
so
you guys really connected.
Yeah, in addition to hot take, I admittedly did say one that I knew he agreed with because I was struggling to think of one off the top of my head. And then Emily had one. Carlo's I feel like we'll save him for now in case the video comes out, and then if we don't see the video in a while, we'll talk about it. But after that, he asked me my favorite anime, to which I said Monogatari and March Comes in Like a Lion, both Shaft productions from Aki Kishimbo in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, which he is apparently a huge fan of. I think I remember that. So yeah, he like got me up on that. He's like, I like this guy. He's like, if I had to be a white guy, I think I'd be him. I was like, I'll take that. That's a compliment. And then we talked about Dandadan because he was also at the panel, and he has read it and has seen chapter 159. Everybody should read it and get up to that chapter so I can talk about it. So yeah, that was really cool.
Nice. Emily?
So highlights, I saw Reen Doll and went to her panel first and foremost.
You didn't just see her.
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
All right. So saw her at her
You
panel
smelled her.
where she talked about, Japanese streetwear fashion, the evolution of Lolita, and like tips and tricks, and she's so endearing and so sweet and so wonderful. And so then afterwards, I asked if I could, talk to her since, I just love her stuff and have been following her for so long. And so then the next day we were able to give a quick interview again.
There was a line of like 20 people waiting to talk to her, and she spent 5 minutes just talking to Emily.
Yeah, but I love Reen Doll. She's so awesome and sweet. So we'll link the interview below that just went live. And then My Hero Academia panel, like Karlo alluded to, got to interview the voice actor of Deku and All Might / Dark Might, so Daiki Yamashita and Kenta Miyake. And so if you know All Might's voice, he sounds exactly the same just in his talking voice.
Every VA has like the one where it's like they weren't not trying, but they were like, I'm gonna be me for this one.
Yeah.
It's like every Chris Sabat role. Like you're like,
yes.
Except when he's IMA.
Except and
Kristoff.
IMA and Chris. There's two. There are two Chris Sabats. Which one are you?
Yeah. Yeah. There's Vegeta and there's IMA.
Yeah.
So you got lucky. You got not lucky, but you got to do 2 on-camera interviews with talent for this one.
Yes. Yeah. Very fortunate. Very fortunate.
And then we also did the video interview at the not Itzy. What was the name of the clothing brand? Izo. Yeah.
Which is the new Toho. Think of like anime.
Toho animation.
Think of like anime, like bringing Japanese imported goods at like actually an affordable price and not $1 million. And officially licensed.
They had like Toho merch from Jump Festa, which I think this year's Jump Festa.
Yeah, I think they had it from a couple years.
Yeah.
So we got to talk to them, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, before you move on, I want to talk about my moment with the VAs.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I saw that in the video. Yeah.
So I had cosplayed Tanjiro that day, so I was wearing Tanjiro Crocs that released last year, and I was wearing...
I like how you start with cosplaying. I was wearing Tanjiro Crocs, like the character Tanjiro.
Well, I was wearing full cosplay earlier in the morning, and then I decided I had enough. And also we were meeting like My Hero people, so I didn't want to be dressed fully as Tanjiro.
Yep.
So I had Tanjiro Crocs, and I had Tanjiro earrings, and we're just standing there. They're like just getting like powdered up, getting ready for the interview.
Getting mic'd up, sound check.
Yeah, and who's the one that voices Izuku Midoriya?
Yamashita-san.
Yamashita looks at me, and in his little voice, he just goes, Tanjiro. And
oh my god, he was so sweet.
And he points at my shoes, Tanjiro. Then he points at my ears, he goes, Tanjiro.
Yeah.
And I was like, me, I'm Tanjiro. And while I'm doing this, All Might is getting his glasses fixed. Finally gets his glasses on, looks right at the camera, and goes, oh, Tanjiro. And at that moment, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I am Tanjiro.
I have embodied Tanjiro Kamido.
Cosplaying when interviewing people is it tends to go well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they just love that you love everything about it.
I mean, to your point, right? It's like they don't know how popular things are here, right? So like any endearment is a term of endearment. A couple
years ago, when the author of Naruto, Kishimoto Sensei, came to America, I got to meet him and get a book signed, and I was wearing that shirt I have of Princess Mononoke. It's like a fan one. It's not official. But he got really excited about it and talked to me about that. And then last year I got to meet some of the people behind, I think it's Studio Wit, and I was wearing like a Fooly Cooley shirt, and they were like, that's one of my favorite shows. And then when I interviewed the people for Dandadan, the translator, I mean, the guys who I was interviewing were also like, they like my shirt, but the translator goes, oh, I actually worked on Fooly Cooley. Yeah. And I couldn't ask her about it. I was like, wait, what? And I almost got derailed. And she's like, yeah, I worked on it. I was like, I have questions for them, but okay. And now I want to get her name because I want to talk to her about working on Fooly Cooley.
Even some of the people like clocked that you were wearing a cyberpunk shirt. And like, you like cyberpunk? Like, they even know that probably.
Even there's people in full cosplay, but they like seeing the Western fans are into it, and not just with the cosplay, obviously, but like, oh, you just have general clothing that you wear.
Yeah. It's okay to be casual.
Yeah, exactly. I'm starting to wear more anime merch after this one.
Right. Now Tanjiro is asking you to continue.
Very good. Thank you, Tanjiro. And then, my last batch was all the English VA that I like to meet.
You're a dub.
I'm a dub girly, So I like to meet them and talk to them and share my passion with them. So I got to meet Alejandro Saab, who's been on my list 4 years, and I did tell him this. Like, I've been wanting to meet him for 3 years. So the voice of like Miyamura from Horimiya, the main character in Hell's Paradise, Uno from Nambaka, which that's a deep cut. So he's done a lot, and his voice is like so, I don't know, he's so passionate and awesome, and it has such an interesting tonality to it. Like, I can clock him right away. I'm like, oh, that's Alejandro Saab.
Nice.
And then Amelie, who's the voice of Marin Kitagawa, also the VTuber Monarch, who I also really love.
She also does a lot of anime song covers.
Yeah, she sings, and she's Hayasaka in Love is War, so she's always and young Yuki in Fruits Basket. Nice. Young, traumatic Yuki. Yeah. Then Faye Mata, this was my second time meeting her. She's the voice actress of Aqua from Konosuba, and so I went up to her and had my Aqua cosplay on, and she said that I was the only one that came to her in Aqua that day. So then she said
to be fair, the others were probably drunk and sleeping.
Probably, or being useless.
Yes.
And then Matt Shipman and Brittany Lauda, who are married, which I didn't know. But Matt Shipman, he is the voice of Reki from Skate the Infinity. And Brittany Lauda is from Girlfriend and Hokkaido Girls. And so, got all of their autographs, some pics, some prints, all that good stuff.
You're forgetting one. So we did
yes. So this is, and Steve, you're going to have to help me pronounce the name, but the mangaka for More Than a Married Couple,
but
not quite lovers.
Yeah.
And so this is an anime that like I fell in love with. It's so fun. Yeah. It's basically like
happy to get it, but by the way, this is going to be a questionable thing to hang on my wall.
It's like My Dress Up Darling, where basically you have, as part of their final exam, you're like paired up with the opposite sex. It's a marriage simulation.
Japan needs to get that birthright up. Yeah. This is a manga about that.
So then obviously you have the like really outgoing gyaru and the really nerdy, quiet otaku boy get matched up. Yep. Obviously chemistry organically blossoms, and it's really cute.
Yeah, and the author of this is, it is in English at the bottom, luckily, because I can't read that signature, Yuki Kanemaru. So she was there you bought a large package, which you'll have to show the whole thing. But in addition to this, she was signing the big volume 1, and then she also had the shikishi, so that's what these are, which shikishi are Japanese, not cardboard, but they're Japanese boards that
it's like art boards.
Yeah, and they're pretty much always this size, and they're usually a whitish color. Yeah. This one has actually a picture on it, and they'll sign it, or maybe they'll draw some art, and it's kind of a much bigger way of getting a signature, but also it's something you can treat with a little more respect.
Are they meant to be like
it can
on
hold
the
up
walls,
a bit?
It's meant to be art
so
piece,
if you've watched, for example, the Trash Taste podcast, they have a number of shikishi from their guests that they've hung up on the wall. I don't think they do it as much anymore.
I feel like if you go to like even
if you go to Animate, for example, in Japan, they have shikishi from famous people who've come and visited their store. A lot of restaurants will have them.
Here in the U.S., Kinokuniya have it like by their cash registers.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that, but a lot of restaurants will do that in Japan just for famous people who've come to enjoy their food.
This is a perfect example. When I was talking to the people at the Udon booth, who is the publishers of the manga, they were like, please, please, please help promote this series because this is a perfect example of how shoujo needs recognition. Yes. So.
And I watched this one, I think, on your recommendation. It was on my notice. I usually watch like 13, 14 shows a season, and this one hadn't quite make my cut because I wasn't familiar with it. Emily turned me onto it, and I was hooked on episode 1.
All right, so
and not that I dislike romance, it hadn't caught my eye because at this point we have so much anime coming out. It's easy to miss things.
This is actually really good because I think next we wanted to talk about our con haul.
Yeah.
Like, who are some vendors and what are the things you bought at the con? So you got this.
Yeah.
So, next up, vendors and con haul. A big part of the con is going to Artist Alley, going to the exhibitors.
Spending all your money.
Spending all your money on things you don't need.
Yep.
So
con brain.
Con brain is real. Like, you just...
There's con flu and there's con brain.
Yeah, con brain is when you're like, oh, yeah, I need a jacket with Pikachu on it.
I all of a sudden love Pokemon.
I love Pokemon.
Yeah. I really want this Fukui signed book. Oh, I'll buy the entire package that I have to get in order to get this signed book.
Oh, yeah. I will spend $200 on a signature or an autograph from Shibuya Kato.
I mean, I actually wanted to. We just didn't have the opportunity, so.
All right,
another
so
con.
You had the fewest hauls. So why don't you walk us through
so I've already shown off my new You Need to Edit Faster mascot horse. I will need to name him appropriately. And I already showed off the Shikishi that I got for Fukui. In addition to that, I have the Volume 1. This is big. This is like a super volume,
omnibus.
Right? Omnibus, so it's usually at 3 volumes. And I've got not that it'll be super visible, but she did sign it. This is where if we had a separate camera person, they would zoom in, but we don't, so gives you an idea.
Budget cuts.
So there is that. I also wanted to call out, and it's in my notes because I forgot the man's name, unfortunately. When I went to the Witch Hat Atelier panel, they called up a special guest, Kazuki Kawagoe, who is the director of Komi-san, and he directed an episode of Zom 100. He directed the trailer for Witch Hat Atelier. So I did get him to sign a little poster that they were giving out, which is kind of neat. It's unfortunately smudged because I'm an idiot and I forgot that you need to protect signatures.
I was going to say we have another one, but it's not signed.
It's not signed, yes. I didn't get them both signed. Small stuff like Oshinoko, they gave out a cool little poster to get a free 30 days with High Dive, but the art is cool, so I took it.
And this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Hulu Animehem.
Portable charger
that they gave out. I've got my signed badge from Yoshitake, I believe. I'm saying his name wrong.
You said it earlier.
I said it earlier, and I'm a fool. And but I do feel bad, so I'm going to say it's Yoshihiro Watanabe. He was the producer for Trigun Stampede. And here's a couple of tickets I got just to remember the things that I got into is press, Dandadan, Frieren, the Oshinoko, and a couple of fun little stickers, mostly the blue box one that we got from the panel.
Ooh, I think
so there's Taiki and Chinatsu.
I hit it in the back of my phone.
And some random person was just giving out, some booth was just giving out stickers at the end because they were running out, so I got a little Inosuke. Small stuff. The other things that I got book-wise is this really cool, I don't know what to call it. It's not a journal. It's more, I guess, any book to take notes in, but this is for Metaphor Refantazio, so this is the art style of the game.
They gave this away. You bought this? Or
no, they gave it away. They gave it to
the panel?
Yeah, at the
so
panel.
Nice.
Yeah,
really
this is
nice.
definitely the coolest panel giveaway item that any panel had.
See it shine.
I don't know. I guess it's that Persona money. They can afford to get those. But yeah, so I got that, which was really neat. And then you'll show what you got from Mudan, but Emily also got something that she isn't as familiar with Shaman King, so I got the little How statue.
We did a tradesies for something.
Yeah.
So.
I gave her some stuff I had that I knew she was more interested in. She gave me the Shaman King. Admittedly, I'm probably going to give it to a friend who I know is much bigger into it. I did pick up a special volume 2 of March Comes in Like a Lion, which I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite anime of all time.
And why
also
is it
one of my
special?
favorite manga, done by Umino Chika. Gorgeous art, but she was very good friends with Kentaro Miura, the author of Berserk, and so they drew art for each other. So you can see what her art style is like in this cover. Now picture the art of Berserk. Not two people you would imagine were friends, but they were very close. And so the original cover is right here. So there's Hina, which I'll show off. There. And that's the cover with Hina. So it looks different, and now we've got the special dust cover, which is really cute with the shogi characters, the little animated ones they used to teach Momo. So that was the thing I was really excited to get. Now it means I own 2 different volumes of this, but as March comes in like a lion, so I'll give her all my money.
Did you know this stuff was going to be at the con?
I did not know this was going to be there. I passed the Denpa booth, and I occasionally get stuff from them. I knew they were the ones who were finally bringing March comes in like a lion. We're up to like volume, I don't know, 30 something of this series, and it finally is getting translation, even though the anime came out like 10 years ago.
Wow.
So I've just been buying it, but super excited to have that. And then just a couple small things, little pin for Kagura Bocchi, edgelord in a good way, sword anime manga running in Shonen Jump, and for Dandadan, I got when I bought volume 1 for the 3rd time because I wanted this little Dandadan keychain showing Okarun and then his Turbo Granny form, as well as
spoiler,
a mascot. If you haven't seen the trailer, the best character besides another character that we'll talk about once episodes 2 and 3 come out.
Generally, do you research any merch or drops?
I try to, because Emily points out, I see how well prepared Emily is, and then I get overwhelmed, and I'm really bad at finding things on Instagram and TikTok, and I say, hey, what keywords are you using? And she tells me, and I find the wrong stuff, and I get disgruntled, and then I just wander around, usually 2 or 3 times, because there's so much there that as I walk past booths, I'm like, wait, I didn't see that the last time I was here. I don't recommend my method.
Do you research just merch, or like what do you do to find?
I research guests, by the way, but I don't do a good job researching booths.
Do you research for
exhibitors or artists?
Just merch in
both,
general?
both exhibitors and
so
artists.
my methodology, it's harder, I would say, with like things like SDCC or NYCC, but like for
because you're dependent on them properly.
So what the method that I found is most successful is if you go into like Instagram or Twitter and you search hashtag whatever, anime NYC, hashtag, and then you
AX
2024, right? People will publish their catalogs beforehand.
But you're also scrolling through other people just tweeting about how excited they were, which is where I got burnt out, because I find too many of those and not enough vendors.
So I think Instagram is more helpful with that kind of stuff because people are actually posting pictures, and then I feel like once you've been to a bunch of cons, you kind of know what vendors you do like, and then they will typically do what you call stamp rallies with like-kind vendors. And so what a stamp rally is it's like 6 or 7 vendors will kind of team up.
Like they know each other.
They know each other, or they're trying to promote each other, and it'll be like, okay, if you spend $10 at each of these 6 booths, you get like a little prize at the end, like
just to encourage.
Maybe a little
print.
Going to an independent, going to
and usually it's
artists.
stuff that they weren't selling.
Yeah.
At least from the ones I saw. So there were a couple stamp rally things I found on Instagram that I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want the sticker. Oh, I gotta go shop from 6 other vendors.
And they'll
to get
tag
it.
them, and they'll tag like vendors will
They'd have
tag
a map
people.
too to say like, hey, here's the booths and where they'll be.
What's best for researching? Is it X? Is it Instagram?
Instagram for Artist Alley and that Instagram, because people are going to post their pictures of their catalogs.
What do you see on Twitter and what do you see on TikTok?
If you're looking for freebies and things like that, go on the Reddit, search for freebies.
Usually
even if it's
somebody's
over a
doing the
year
research.
old, typically booths will continue, like big booths especially, like are going to have freebies. So like if you saw a listing last year that has Hulu was giving something out, chances are it may not be the same exact thing, but they're going to have another giveaway.
Yeah, they're all going to give away.
So
I also noticed in the Reddits that it seems like that's not more what people are interested in, but people on Reddit, there's somebody like, hey, who knows what the freebies are, and people are trying to collect that information together. That happens. I think Reddit's good for that conversation.
Yeah, I think Reddit and Instagram are the two.
Yeah.
We have like a common thing where we're like, I'll give away my social security number for a free Snickers that says Hulu on it.
Yes.
If it's got a waifu on it.
All right.
If it's half melted, give it.
So what did you walk away with? Or are we starting?
You want to do?
Let me do mine because you have.
Emily's
is
more impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Some of the stuff I have, by the way, Karlo and Emily also have. I had to travel here, so they'll show some stuff I also grabbed.
I was admittedly very light with what I purchased. I packed a pretty packed bag, so I didn't have a lot of space. And I also know that like Anime NYC is just around the corner, so I didn't.
And same for me. Turns out carrying all the camera gear means you don't have room for stuff.
Yeah.
That horse was a struggle to get back.
You didn't just hold it?
No, I had to take it. I had to pack an extra bag to fit some of the stuff. Yeah, I figured they'd take it away from me for an item.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I got this Dandadan poster that was distributed at the premiere. That was a lot.
I have one. I have one as well.
Yeah.
I unfortunately got it after the interview. I would have gotten it signed, but maybe another time.
I also purchased or Emily purchased for me. These are the Tanjiro Crocs. These are from last year, but this is not what she purchased. I won't
Okay, I was gonna say.
They're on the floor. She got me this Miku Gibbet.
Miku is Carlos' favorite anime character.
I love Miku. I don't even know
Miku,
what
Miku,
they introduced me to Miku like a year ago.
A year ago?
Miku a year ago.
Yeah,
They
that's the name of the
introduced-
podcast.
Yeah.
Miku Weeaboos.
Miku Weeboos.
Yeah.
They introduced me to Miku a year ago. I still don't have a full grasp of who she is or why I love her so much.
Or what vocal it
But
is.
but her song was stuck in our head for 2 days after. I was delirious walking through the airport trying to record a video singing the song to you guys with my Osmo out for like a minute and a half. I get to my gate, I'm like, all right, time to download this. I didn't even hit record. I was just delirious singing Miku in an airport.
Speaking of Miku, this is what I pulled out of Mudan's bag. This
Which
was
is in
like
the video.
completely by chance. I got a little Miku bunny.
Yeah.
Very cute.
Like,
Little
It
charming.
was
Not that I
faded.
don't like my horse, but you got the best item out of that.
I'm Tanjiro and I love Miku.
Miku,
That's
yeah.
it. And then we went to Schwa Inc. They're like a streetwear, like it's like Tech Ninja style.
Oh yeah, you mentioned it to me, and I
Yeah.
never ended up going to that
It's
booth.
like a Tech Ninja style fashion booth, and
You
I
know,
got this
typical tech ninjas.
Yeah, and I got this cool keychain. It's upside down right now. It should actually be like that because you would hang that from your pants, but it detaches quick. So for those of you who are like in cities where you walk a lot, this is great for like just keeping on you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I picked up some pins. So they're on things that I own already. This is a Hanpu bag that I purchased in Kyoto. But I put this little ghastly pin on it.
Hanpu's the brand.
Hanpu's the brand.
Okay.
Yeah. These bags are only made in Kyoto. And I think you can buy them online. Just recently they started doing online stores, but love this bag. This is my like daily carry.
Nice.
And then I also
Oh
got
yeah.
2 more pins.
This is such a big item to hold for such a small item
I
to
know.
show.
I already put it on my jacket already, but as you can tell, I love Mike Wazowski.
Here, I'll see if I can hold this up and have it focus.
And I got a Mike Wazowski pin. I don't even really like
I don't even know if
Disney.
that's gonna focus. So oh, there we go. Yeah, little Mike Wazowski.
I don't even really like Disney, but I like Mike Wazowski.
Everybody likes Mike Wazowski.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
How do you not? And then I got my last pin.
It's so
right
tiny.
there.
Oh,
It's really
wow.
Tiny.
What
I got
is
a little
it?
Calcifer pin.
Ah.
From
Let's see if I can get this to focus.
Oh my gosh. From
Howls.
Yeah. And put that on my jacket. So, you know, I like getting pins. They're like a if you know, you know sort of thing.
Yeah, that's how I've kind of felt with the little Dandadan Turbo Granny pin. Is I put that on my badge to when I did the interview, and like they noticed it.
Yeah. Are you going to put it on anything that you wear normally?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with it. Kind of similar to like I've started getting more stickers, and now I'm like, do I need to get a signature book like Emily to put all my stickers in?
A lot of people put these on like hats.
Yeah.
An idea. Okay, so that's my haul. Emily, your haul.
All right.
Cutting to the second half of this video is just Emily going through her
I
haul.
am going to go very quickly because there's a lot
do you wanna
here.
pass me that?
I
Yeah.
did some damage. So
So
yeah.
first, she got this.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what's
this-
This one's Steve.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
one's mine.
yeah.
She got one of those that isn't
Yeah.
signed.
I was gonna say that's got my name on it for the 8 people who can read the katakana.
yeah. So I guess we could start off with like the rest of the package that came with that.
I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, I
sneak out
didn't
of
bring
here.
it, so we had to buy a package in order to get the signature, which is pretty common.
Yeah. So
Hi.
Here.
Pass it to me and then I'll show it.
Okay.
so pin set with Akari and Jiro. A little what is that resin board, I guess,
Is that,
with Shiori and Akari, but
That's not-
Akari's best girl.
is that a standee or?
Yeah, it's a stand. It comes with a little stand.
Okay, yeah. So one of the standees you can put up.
Yep. And then the tote bag.
Oh yeah. You can tell we still haven't unwrapped everything, despite it
Yeah.
being like 2 weeks
We probably
ago.
won't
Show the other
unwrap it.
side because it's got
And
their
all the
faces
characters
on
on it.
Yeah. The joy of trying to hold something up to a camera already in focus.
Yeah.
Get in! Yeah.
And then I unfortunately lost track of time on my designated time when to get the board signed. So I have an unsigned board, but because I went up and talked to them about how much I was looking forward to this series, they gave me a little extra pin that was part of like the gotcha. And so I originally didn't do the gotcha because you could have gotten like a myriad of different characters, but they gave me Akari, who I love. Best girl.
Focus.
All right. Now, just some of the freebies that I'll run through quick. So this was one of the tradesies that Steve gave me.
What
so
is it?
Hatsuharu from Fruits Basket.
He's the bull.
Oh!
Yeah.
Now I see it.
Yeah.
He's the good one.
Then from the Yamada-kun panel, so they had like a huge, they had a huge poster that they were giving away. So hopefully I got a chance at that at Anime NYC to get that big poster.
Yep.
And then
pass them to me and I'll put
Kodansha
them up
had
on-
these
on the
cool little like samplers based off of different genres. So I think you turned it around, but basically they, they
stop showing it like it's written in
like,
English. It
I don't
runs
know,
in reverse.
I don't know what color's which, but it's
that
basically
one,
like
that one has which Hat Atelier?
there was like children, romance, shonen, shoujo, LGBTQ+, so a little bit of everything for everybody.
It's got focus.
It's like a fun game of can you name them all? Windbreaker, Slime, Isekai.
If it's not in focus, it's not my fault. It's this.
Yeah, but anyway, it was
there's
just some fun
cameras.
freebies.
Yeah. And then what's that you got there?
Ooh, we'll go quick.
Yeah, I don't think we...
Carlo.
Yeah.
There.
And then,
Ah!
then a Windbreaker calendar, and then Blue Lock poster. That's that. Okay, and then I also went to Schwa. And got some cool stuff. So there's like this cute little like crop jacket situation with like the tech wear on the sleeves.
Why don't you put it on?
Yeah.
It's hard to like understand what
Yeah.
it is unless you put it
Yeah,
on.
you just got to be careful with the microphone. Oh, wow.
So it's a cute little tech wear. Sorry for the swishies.
You mean the schwashies?
The swashies. But yeah,
Boo!
I won't zip it up. But
I'm
it's like
editing.
cute
You
little
can't take that
thing
out.
With like adjustable. So super cute. And then a little Marin Kitagawa pin. Or patch rather.
Patch, a Velcro, a little morale patch.
Yeah.
You can put on, like,
But wait, there's more.
There's more, guys. There's more. We got, a bunch more stuff over here. All right, and then...
Are we halfway through?
The fact that you don't immediately know the answer.
Okay, I don't know if we're halfway through. But then from, I believe it was Dear Vanilla, had a booth down in Artist Alley, and it was like a traditional Japanese booth where they have all imports from Kyoto. So I got a couple of these Mount Fuji woodblock prints. And then
I'll put that one on.
a beautiful, like, kimono jacket.
Yeah, and these kimono jackets, Dear Vanilla is like an importer, so these were bought in Kyoto.
Yeah.
And they're all vintage, so I think they
Yeah.
said this one's from like the 1970s.
But yeah, gorgeous fabrics, wonderful, and like not crazily priced.
You should wear it outside tomorrow in the heat.
Oh my god, yes.
Beautiful silk.
It is.
All right, and then at the Good Smile booth in Entertainment Hall. So there were two Good Smile booths. One was in the exhibitor and one was in the Entertainment Hall. They were doing this game, I'll say, where you basically like buy a...
Plinko.
It's like Plinko. You buy like these discs and you answer an anime question and then you get to drop it, and then depending on where it lands, you got like different colored tickets, and different colored tickets corresponded to different prizes. So I went towards the end of the day, so this is like a life hack or a little tip.
Hack.
Yeah.
Con hack, go towards the end of the day because they're just trying to get rid of everything.
Yep.
So I got
Can I see the Hachimon?
two Nendroids,
Yeah.
and then I got a Figma
Figma.
from Genshin,
Yeah.
and she's a witch, so that's a win.
Yep.
I don't play Genshin, but
Yeah.
and then
Now that you know there's a witch character.
yeah. Then these two pins. One is from Ruby. The other one
I think
is
the Ruby
from
one is the one I
Danganronpa.
pulled.
Yeah,
I
you
did
pulled
not
these
get the
two.
luck. That was the one I got.
And then Danganronpa, and then the Levi Ackerman pin. So that was all just from that Good Smile booth.
But wait,
There's
more.
still more, guys.
Beauty blogger.
Yeah.
All right. Then this was probably like my pickup that I wanted before I even knew like any of the other artists or exhibitors. So this is from the brand Hiding Ghost. And so this is just like a side satchel / fanny pack that's shaped like a coffin. The strap is inside, and it has like nice pockets on the inside. That's like you could put your credit cards. Like it's slid. There's multiple slitted pockets, so a lot of organization. But I
your
found out
voodoo
about
dolls, your ashes of your enemies.
Yeah, exactly. But I found out about this vendor actually at Anime NYC.
That's what the inside of a bag looks like,
Yeah,
Karlo. Is that what you're trying to show up?
Bag, guys. Take a look.
This is going to be
Dark.
riveting.
But
Amazing.
I actually found
Trying to
out about
focus
this
on a black
vendor
bag.
last year at Anime NYC. I was talking to one of the
VAs.
Yeah, one of the VAs, his assistant.
Which VA was it?
Rico.
Rico
Fajardo.
Suave.
Rico Fajardo, who does like Mirio from My Hero Academia. He's in Tomo-chan. And so the person that was, doing the pay system, she actually owns this brand, and it's a Filipino-owned company.
Nice.
And with the purchase of, I think over $25 or something, you got a cute little fan, which is every necessity when you're sweating in LA.
That's so cute.
Um,
I should have gotten that cat jacket from Bushi Road.
yeah. And then I got a piece of Anime
They'll be it.
Expo, actual, like from the Anime Expo merch. It's like the little fortune pins.
Oh, nice. Oh, I never did get any merch from there. I wanted to get the Hoppy Coat, but that ran out really quick.
That ran out super quick.
The official merch sells out. Actually, a lot of stuff sells out quick.
Yeah, they had cute djembe set that looked really comfortable, so I got that little charm. Then the same booth where I got all of the Karlo's
Oh, wow.
Miku Gibbet, I went a little crazy at this one, guys. We don't have to show all of them. You can kind of like show a flavor of them, but like I got all of the Fruits Basket babies, Crocs.
All 12?
No, all 3 of them. They only, let's face it, they
the
only
main
make
characters.
Kyo, Totoro.
The bull guy's the most important one because he's the only
you can-
rational character.
All right, and then I got my boy
Pop
sockets.
Yeah.
Yep, all of my boys.
Anything.
What is a pop socket?
Like for the back of your phone.
Oh, okay.
And then Bachira.
Oh.
Yeah, and then just a bunch
If you're wondering if Emily has a type, episode 1, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And then just a bunch of stickers, and these stickers are all like voice actors that I either plan on meeting or have met, and I need to just put it in my sticker book.
So tell us about your sticker book. What is that?
Yeah, so my sticker book is all of my, this is like the equation of my Disney autograph book. So all of the autographs that I get from English VAs, or any VA rather, or anyone, because I do have Trash Taste in here as well.
Oh, yeah.
Then I get to put them in here, and then I decorate it with cute little stickers of the characters that they have done.
I love the one with Aqua. That's a good example.
Here, like this one where she doodled.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably want to show
And then
that.
there's the Lord Zell one too.
The great trashy Aqua.
Yeah. But it's like really, I don't know, it's really fun to like talk to them, and like some of them are like super excited. I mean, all of them are super excited, but some of them like just because they maybe don't have a long line or like haven't done a lot of things, then
What else?
what else?
And there's more.
Yeah, only a few more things. So then I got this pin set from, what is it? Something Tomato.
Tomatoes.
From Toru Honda, duh. Because honestly, anything Fruits Basket related, I'm gonna buy it.
Anything Fruits Baskets, anything Bakugo.
Yeah, any of that.
Also, Fruits Basket stuff is harder to find than like My Hero. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, even in Akihabara, it was hard to find anything that was Fruits Basket related.
So yeah, anything, and then got these prints from Sherm's Draws, and it's all like these cute. I got like 3 in here. I won't take them out, but it's all these little yokai guys in everyday situations.
Nice.
And then, art prints. So I always love going to art. This will be quick. I always love going to like the art prints. So then these are all from Alejandro Saab's autograph. He always has really cool prints. He has his fans commission things for him. So like he'll ask people like, hey, send me your commissions, and then he will pick a few, and that will be the prints that he sells at his autograph table. So I think that's really cool to like incorporate your fans that way.
Yep.
And then this is from Oblinox, and I thought these were really cool pencil sketches. Some Windbreaker, we got Killua.
It was really nice to see an artist that used traditional
mediums. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously these aren't original drawings, but the fact that they
Can I see those when you're done?
using pencil.
Yeah. You could buy the originals though of some of them. They were like $200. Got a Wotakoi print.
Best intro dance.
Yep, and then from Senti, got these 3 prints, so obviously Fruits Basket, and then got 2 Your Name prints from Taki and Mitsuha. And then the rest of these guys are all Fruits Basket.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so then this one is from Chiffon Sue. It's a Toru with all the zodiacs.
So much fun.
And then got a cat crossing art. All of them making rice balls. And the last one is like this gorgeous fantasy holographic print of Toru from 3 Lee Marie.
I feel like such a simple man. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah,
shiny.
yeah, right.
But it was just, it immediately caught my eye. It was so beautiful, so gorgeous.
So what do you do with all the prints? You only have so
I
much
have
wall
like
space. Do you have an art book?
Yeah, I have like a poster
Yeah, I've got a couple of those as
thingy,
well.
like similar to how you like kind of like do postcards.
Yeah, I've started doing it where I have like one for video game stuff and one for anime stuff, and now I'm gonna have to get a second anime one.
That's everything?
Don't have enough walls.
That's everything.
Yeah.
If you could see
you
our
say
floor right now.
everything. Yeah, I was gonna say. So the reason I talked so much about panels is I spent a lot more time in panels and also running around filming stuff.
I spend time spending my own money.
Yes, and also getting photographed in cosplay.
Yes.
I spend time looking at people.
Yes. And looking after us.
Yeah. And before we get to the last thing, you were mentioning AX merch. The AX merch was fun.
It was really cool. I
selection.
haven't bought Anime Expo merch or Anime NYC merch the past couple of years. It's fine. It's just nothing that
I
really
think this
appealed
is
to
an
me.
anime NYC.
I really wanted the hoppy coat, and a lot of it looked cool. It's just it went really fast, and we had stuff to do.
Yeah, it was cool. Like Anime NYC and NYCC and SDCC, obviously, because those two are Western. A lot of their merch is just like typical concert merch, like T-shirts, hats. Yeah. But AX had a lot of like Japanese inspired things. They had the happy
like
coats.
those little charm.
They had the charms. They had fans.
Well, I think it's because of the organization behind it, the Japanese Association,
SPJA.
because they're also focused on like promoting Japanese culture. I'm sure they probably have a hand in that.
It was fun. It was cool.
Yeah.
Well, before the batteries start dying on things, is there anything else we wanted to cover?
Let's just do top con tips very quickly. My two are, number one, bring a chair. I have a chair here. Bring
buy this stool. You'll see them everywhere.
Buy these stools on Amazon. You see them a lot. They're telescoping and they support up to like 250 pounds.
Yeah.
So hopefully for most of you that works. But it helps for long lines or if you're eating and there's no space to sit.
Mm-hmm.
And then my second tip is the schedules. They generally come out late. This is for all cons. And they're also subject to last minute changes. So try to quell your anxiety. Understand that they do come late. You won't be able to schedule a lot of things in advance. But remember to look at that schedule. Usually a lot of the cons have apps. So look at the schedule and just remember that there are opportunity costs to what you go to. You can't be everywhere at once. You're going to miss something. So pick what is most important to you and your group.
Yeah.
Those are my two.
Real quick. Okay, it is on. Sorry, I thought it was off.
Emily.
Yeah, so we kind of touched on things before, but plan, research and plan. I feel like look at the apps beforehand, look at the exhibitors, think about what kind of merch you want to buy, and really plan it out. Usually the apps will have the ability to favorite things, so you can like star it, and it kind of makes a very curated list for you. So like I used that when I was going through like Artist Alley to be like, okay, I'm in row A. What is everything in row A to make sure that I'm hitting it, right? Yeah. I'm in row B. Let me look at my favorites list and look at everything for row B. And especially, this was my first time at LA Convention Center. I didn't realize how big it was. So I did not account for the walking time. So like 20 minutes, you can't go from like panel to panel. Like you have to allot for like at least I'd say 15, 20 minutes between things to be able to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. Unlike Anime NYC, which has been able to do this now that it's larger in the Javits Center, they unfortunately don't fit everything just in the LA Convention Center. Some of the stuff is in the JW Marriott, which is conservatively a 15-minute walk, but like you have to get into it up to a second and third floor. You got to badge in. It's
security.
It's at least 20 minutes if you want to get to a panel over there. And then there's also some stuff in another small venue I don't remember the name of. Unfortunately, if you want to go to things like that, you need to build in time to walk to it. And I'll touch on that. Well, I guess I'll say one of mine, which is feeding off of yours, which is the planning and using the app. Realize the first day you're going to get a sense of how long it takes to get to things, especially if you're not there in like a press capacity. If you want to go to panels and stuff, you're going to have to wait in a line. probably for a good long while. Some people were lining up for panels that they wanted to go to 2 hours plus at a time.
Some were lining up a night before.
Some people, there were a couple people who lined up the night before. Every time we left, we'd see a line of like 6 or 8 people who were lining up to make sure they got the signature that they wanted, or they were getting into the My Hero panel, which was going to be one of the first ones in the day. I'm not saying you need to stay overnight. That's for certain people who are willing to do something like that, but you're not going to be able to get to everything you want to, even with a press pass. Just running around, I couldn't get into all the panels I was trying to cover. So get a sense of that the first day, and you're going to have your schedule what you want to do. Also have in mind like which things you're willing to cut and what's truly the most important to you. I'm upset that I missed the look back panel. I got to go to the Oshinoko panel in a press capacity, so like I got something out of having to miss the look back one.
Yeah, I think sometimes the smaller panels are more fun as well, because the big panels they're either gonna film it or they're gonna have like a release on Twitter afterwards. So unless there's like a screening, like if you're just going to have general questions answered, it can be fun, but like I try to focus on things that might give you the better opportunity. So for me, it was things that were doing world premieres, or there was a large VA presence they could talk about the work on it.
Yeah.
And then second tip?
My second tip, and then I do want to touch quickly on the autograph logistics. Second tip is an easy one. It's a silly one. Bring lunch.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
Don't waste time. You're already going to be standing in lines. You're already going to be running from one place to another. Make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Bring a beef jerky and cheese. Bring snacks. Bring something so you can graze throughout the day, so you're not carving out an hour to go stand and have like an overpriced beef sandwich. And then if you do like want something aside from a sandwich, right, a hot meal, save it for dinner. This venue, surprisingly, is open quite late. Panels would go until midnight, I would say, in certain nights, and the vendors would be open and grilling until 11. So take that time, have your hot meal for dinner, bring lunch.
Yeah, and the food is decently expensive. It's better priced than the stuff in Anime, NYC, and NYCC, and there's bigger space for the vendors. They have real cooking gear, but I was getting like 2 yakitori that were nice size, but the yakitori for like $16. Like, it's not cheap to get the food.
Yeah.
Also, your mileage may vary on bringing in food. Like there was one time we went in where the security
one venue didn't allow. They weren't allowing us to come in. Did I get in trouble for camera gear? There was something else. We couldn't have food, but there was something else I had that they were pushing on, so I just didn't go.
But even in the main convention center, remember we went through that like parking entrance, and
one person said it. Yeah, but for 3 days we were fine.
Yeah, he's like, technically you can't bring in food, so like somebody may stop you, but like that was only one.
But he was like, just finish, because we were eating it as we went. We literally had open food. He's like, if you're physically eating something, he's like, just finish it before you get inside, and anyone sees you, and you're cool.
Yeah.
And then to quickly just touch on the autographs, if that's something that you're interested in, they have kind of like 2 buckets. One is the guest of honor, and that's kind of like take it on its own silo. It's a raffle system.
That was one of the ones I wanted, which I didn't get.
You needed to apply beforehand before you're even on site. And so like you got a QR code. It was very much a lottery-based system. Very common with like big name, other type of autographs. However, like the regular industry autographs, like your VAs, your certain producers, certain like, I think ReZero and Hat Atelier had also signings. You have to go to and get a ticket. So like you have to get a ticket beforehand. And it's a separate tent. You go in, you say who you want to get all the autographs for. There's limited amounts, so you kind of don't know. They try their best to make announcements, but they do a good job. But that is another line that you'll unfortunately have to account for in the beginning of your day. So I would always make that a priority. First thing that I went into, I would go online, stand online for my autographs, and then that way I had my ticket for the rest of the day. This was the first year, another like, I guess, improvement that they made was the autograph booth used to be outside of the convention center, meaning you didn't have to tap. So people would like sleep out there. However, this year was the first year that they put the tent inside when you had to tap your badge. So it prevented people from sleeping overnight.
That's good.
However, and they do let you into the premises, I would say like 30 minutes early, like 8:30.
It's not the safest part of LA.
Yeah.
It's not.
But so like if there's someone that like you really, really want and you absolutely need, like I would get there so that you can be one of the first few people in at 8:30.
Yeah.
Get there at like 6-ish.
Yeah, for comparison, I wanted to get a signature from Shirahama Kamome Sensei, the author of Hat Atelier, which I knew was going to be tough because they also did raffles earlier, but one day, Saturday, I think, that you could line up. So I lined up with Emily and Karlo. We got there an hour, not even an hour beforehand.
Like 8:30, 8:15.
Yeah.
Doors open at 9.
They'd given out all the tickets 8 minutes after it started. I should have gotten there at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. But if you're going for like a regular
like all the
I was
English,
going, yeah. Manga authors come to America like typically once in their life, unfortunately. Like that was the shot. So I was like, I kind of knew I was probably too late, but I tried.
Special guests, Japanese folk, like definitely try.
Yeah, if they're producers, they work on shows, they might come more often, but the manga authors do not come often at all.
Anything else on that?
I think I'm good on
Steve,
that.
I had
your
one
last
other tip, and it was booking your hotel and your flight, but especially the hotel. Flight's somewhat manageable, but in general, any con you're going to, there's thousands, in this case, hundreds of thousands of people going. There's not an unlimited number of spaces to stay. I didn't know back in, I think, February when we talked about the potential opportunity to go to AX, I didn't know if I was going to have a badge, but I booked a hotel room. Because there was the opportunity. You can usually cancel hotel rooms, a couple days, maybe a week in advance. You're going to want to book early just to get things that are available, and you're going to want to book early because Anime Expo in particular is on the 4th of July weekend, which makes it even harder. Any con in general, if you're thinking about going, at least book the hotel room because you can always cancel it. You're going to be fighting for other people for those spaces.
Awesome. All right. Last question. Would you go again?
Absolutely not. We said that at the beginning. Never again.
How about you?
No, unequivocally yes.
Yeah, I think this is probably my new favorite con.
I would agree with that. I've been to Anime NYC since the very first year. Not that the first year was amazing, but just I've been to it for a while, and then we've all gone to like NYCC. You guys have been to SDCC.
We've been to SDCC.
So between us all, a lot of the big ones. I've done some small ones. This was my favorite con, despite the issue with clearing the rooms and a couple other small things. The best run con.
Smooth,
and it's insane
staff,
that this is
great
350,000 people. It feels like less, and Anime NYC, which is only 60 to 65,000 people,
Yeah,
feels more crowded. Same thing with NYCC, is a similar size, I think.
Yeah. All right.
So if you have the opportunity, look into going to AX, obviously depending on budget and things, but it's a great opportunity if you're into panels, if you're into artists, if you just want to cosplay, incredible cosplay. I met people who were mostly there to cosplay with each other and be part of that community. There's so many different ways to engage with it.
Yeah, so if you're interested, July 3rd through 6th, 2025.
That's AX 25.
And I will say, being there on July 4th, one of the better July 4ths I've had, actually, just,
America.
being within my interest area, this was a fun way to spend it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, want to say bye the Japanese way, like this?
Bye-bye.
1, 2, 3. You missed it.
I didn't know what we were counting for. I thought we were counting for saying bye-bye.
Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's how we should end it.
Yeah.